As soon as I woke up, I transmigrated into a big shot villain, a billionaire with hundreds of billions. But before I could even enjoy this wealth and luxury, the villain system poured a bucket of cold water over my head. System. Checking destiny, you will be ruined by your own son because you shielded him. You'll become a stepping stone for the protagonist and ultimately die a miserable death under a bridge. Hearing this, I glanced at my son, who was still screaming on the hospital bed. My dad is King Tian, this damn brat. I slapped him twice right across the face, leaving the entire room in dead silence. You've completely disgraced the Qin family. System notification, punished the rebellious son. Reward, God-tier insight skill. Seeing that there was actually such a good thing, my gaze toward my son grew increasingly heated. Just a few minutes ago, I had transmigrated here. After getting a grasp of the situation, the driver in the front seat gently reminded me, "Boss, we've arrived at Shanghai Hospital." I looked up and saw the driver, Li Jun. Above his head floated a line of green text. Loyalty, 90. Great, finally someone reliable. According to the original plot, this Li Jun died taking a bullet for me. Outside the car, 4 burly men in black suits stood in a row, their faces full of murderous intent. Passers-by all turned to look, whispering among themselves. That's President Qin of the Qin Group. He looks even more imposing in person than on TV. I heard his son got beaten up and hospitalized. He must be here to visit him. Expressionless, I walked toward the VIP ward, under countless gazes of admiration and awe. As soon as I reached the ward's door, I heard screams, like a pig being slaughtered, coming from inside. It hurts like hell. Believe it or not, I'll have my dad fire your whole family. Do you know who my dad is? Qin Tian, this entire Quming city has to look at his face to survive, yet you dared to touch a single hair on my head. Don't even think about working here anymore. Standing outside the door, my temples throbbed. It's this idiotic Jinx, truly a master at ruining his own father. I forcefully pushed the door open and walked in. Qin Shiji's expression changed the moment he saw me. With snot and tears running down his face, he cried, "Dad, you have to avenge me, Dad. That country bumpkin broke my leg. I want to hack him into pieces." Looking at this useless piece of trash and thinking about how my future would be ruined because of him, losing absolutely everything, dying without an intact corpse, the anger in my heart flared up. Right after that, under the stunned gazes of the doctors and bodyguards, I rushed forward a few steps and swung my hand, landing a solid slap right on Qin Shiji's face. "What the hell are you crying for? You've completely thrown away the Qin family's face." I spoke coldly, my voice like ice shattering on the ground. Qin Shiji covered his face, his eyes wide in shock. "Dad, you hit me!" "Damn right I hit you, you useless trash!" I backhanded him with another slap. "Dare to make another sound, and I'll break your other leg myself." System successfully reprimanded the prodigal son, deviating from the main plot. System, villain points, 300. System, first time breaking the predetermined destiny. Reward, novice gift pack. System, God-tier poison skill. A series of system notifications popped up. Before I could even react, a massive influx of information flooded my brain. God-tier poison skill, this is seriously overpowered. Hundreds of lethal poison formulas, all of them colorless, odorless, and completely untraceable. I casually opened the system panel to take a look. Except for the charm stat, all my other stats were lower than the standard for an adult male. A charm stat of 500 seemed very reasonable to me. But why was my luck only at 100 points? At this moment, the system responded immediately. System, due to the existence of the protagonist, the chosen one, the host's luck will gradually be siphoned away by him. Luck is something you can't see or touch, but it's the crucial factor that determines success or failure. System, what exactly are villain points used for? I continued asking in my mind. System, the host can use them to exchange for real-world resources in the villain shop. System, or accumulate 1,000 points to unlock one lucky draw. To receive enhancement skills or rare items, my eyes lit up. There really was a shop button on the interface. I clicked it to take a look. The most prominent item at the front was the cash exchange option. 1 point could be exchanged for $100,000. There was also a stock exchange, 1,000 points, for a 1% share. Seeing this exchange rate, my heart instantly beat faster. That meant the 2 slaps I just gave my son were equivalent to earning over 30 million for free. Feeling the massive amount of knowledge flooding my brain, I looked back at my idiotic son, who was now scared, completely speechless in front of me. The corners of my mouth curled into a cold smirk. Then, I sat down on the sofa. In the ward. All right, speak up now. What exactly happened? Jie was completely dumbfounded by his father's sudden calmness. Dad, what do you want me to say? What else can you say? Tell me the whole story from the beginning. If you don't explain everything clearly, how am I supposed to clean up this mess for you? They were both young masters born with silver spoons in their mouths. So why was this kid the only one who was incurably stupid? After speaking, I glanced at Li Jun. He immediately understood. A few seconds later, the doctors were ushered out and the door was shut tight. Seeing that his dad was actually going to back him up, Qin Shiji instantly perked up and started pouring out his grievances, exaggerating the story without hesitation. 10 minutes later, my face was as black as the bottom of a pot. It turned out this brat was hitting on some girl on the street, got stopped right on the spot, and then a fight broke out. The bodyguards were beaten to the ground, and his own leg was kicked and broken. A country bumpkin who had only been in the city for a few days was actually able to beat a group of professional bodyguards into the dirt and casually break the leg of the Qin family's eldest young master. I didn't even need to think much about it. That guy was 80% likely to be a chosen one type of protagonist. Dad, you have to get justice for me. Qin Shiji gritted his teeth. Him breaking my leg is a direct slap to your face. That guy is too strong. Ordinary people can't deal with him. How about we find a top-tier hitman too? Shut up, I shouted, cutting him off. Is it your turn to teach me how to do things? Find a hitman? Is your brain filled with water or what? Hearing my son's increasingly absurd ideas, I was so angry my forehead throbbed. Only a pig-brained idiot like him would come up with such a stupid trick. Anyone with a normal brain would know that this is just feeding XP to the protagonist. It's all just cliché bullshit tropes. I took a deep breath, suppressing my anger. I'll handle this matter. Just lie down obediently and recover from your injuries. Don't interfere. Thanks, Dad, he grinned widely. I waved my hand. You better behave yourself during this time. If you dare to pull any tricks behind my back, I'll personally break your other leg. Qin Shiji shrank his neck back, agreeing with a wronged expression. Old Li, go call the doctor in charge of this ward. After saying that, I sat down on the chair. After waiting in silence, it wasn't long before Li Jun brought the head doctor and 2 nurses back with him. President Qin, you were looking for me? The doctor asked, his voice trembling, afraid that saying the wrong thing would bring disaster upon himself. I didn't even bother to lift my eyelids and just dropped a single sentence. Just treat him according to standard procedures. Don't indulge his ridiculous demands. The doctor hurriedly nodded, cold sweat beading on his forehead. He hadn't expected a wealthy and powerful father like him to actually say such things. All right, old Lai, let's go. Wait, Dad, it's her. It's this bitch seeing me about to leave. Qin Shiji suddenly screamed at the top of his lungs. I turned my head and looked at my son, who was pointing at the little nurse standing next to the doctor. I glanced at her from head to toe. This girl was a little over 1.6 meters tall, wearing a white nurse's uniform. She didn't have a mask on, curved eyebrows, a delicate little face, and skin as white as freshly squeezed milk. This appearance, could she be the female lead archetype? Did she break your leg? My voice was flat, but it carried a suffocating pressure. That's right, Dad? Even if she turned to ashes, I'd recognize her. Qin Shiji gritted his teeth in hatred. Tang Shui stood there and sighed softly. Today, she had specifically taken half a day off to go shopping at the mall. As a result, she ran into this idle young master who kept pestering her relentlessly. If it hadn't been for a young man from out of town stepping in to intervene, she probably wouldn't have been able to get away. Who would have thought that the hooligan whose leg got broken was actually the son of the man standing in front of her? What was even more ridiculous was that this man was Qin Tian. Since she had been called out directly, Tang Shui didn't bother hiding anymore. What a coincidence, meeting here again. Qin Shiji sneered. Now that my dad is here, don't even think about escaping. Why should I run? You were clearly the one who started the trouble. Tang Shui straightened her back, not showing the slightest fear. So what if I started it? Who told him to stick his nose where it doesn't belong? Qin Shiji's face was full of contempt. Tang Shui flushed red with anger. Then you deserve to be beaten. Shut up. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? I shot Qin Shiji a cold glare, my voice suppressed to the extreme, even though I heard it from my son's mouth, that he got beaten up because he failed to hit on a girl with my experience reading all sorts of Dragon King Returns novels. I could guess the truth with my toes. Thinking of this, I turned my head to look at Tang Shui, my tone much gentler. Little girl, what's your name? My name is Tang Shui. Being stared at made Tang Shui a bit nervous. She regretted the words as soon as they left her mouth. Why was he asking for her name? Could it be that he wanted to take revenge on her? I slightly lowered my eyes, slowly muttering the name, and rubbed my forehead. The name sounds all right. Don't tremble. I handle things with a sense of proportion. I'm well aware of what happened today. You didn't cause this trouble, so I won't blame it on you. All right, old lie, let's go. After saying that, I clasped my hands behind my back and turned to leave. Inside the ward, the group of people stood there, dumbfounded, no one daring to ask a single question. Qin Shijie, left behind, gritted his teeth in fury, inwardly cursing his father for being a coward, without a shred of prestige. As for Tang Shui, who had just been trembling in fear, she stood frozen in place after hearing those words. The little tyrant who was rumored to be so terrifying, his father was actually this reasonable? Could he be faking it? Will he settle the score later? Not long after, I stepped outside the hospital building, opened the back door of the Rolls-Royce, and got in. As soon as I settled in, I told Li Jun in the front seat, leave 2 men at the hospital to keep an eye on Shiji. Don't let him cause trouble again. Also, go investigate that kid who made a move and Tang Shui's background as well. Find out everything clearly while you're at it. Li Jun paused for a moment, then immediately nodded. Yes, President Qin, I'll arrange it right away. Saying that, he pulled out his phone and started making calls. While he was busy, an ice-cold voice suddenly rang in my ears. System, successfully prevented the son's troublemaking plot. A turning point has appeared. System, villain points plus 100. System, improved the female lead Tang Shui's negative impression of the host. System, caused a minor disruption to the timeline. System, villain points plus 300. Recovered 10 points of lost luck. What the? Just saying a few words can earn me points? Thinking of this, I opened my personal attribute panel. Luck had increased by 10 points. The other stats were still pathetically low. System, can those stats be increased? The system replied without a ripple of emotion. Luck can only be plundered from the protagonist. When the host's stat doubles that of the target, you can directly obliterate the target. Got it. What about the others, like physique or charm? The host can use villain points to exchange for items in the shop to enhance yourself. My eyes instantly lit up. I immediately pulled up the interface and looked down to examine it. 1000-year Lingji, 500 points. Origin Nourishing Foundation Pill, 1000 points. They were all legendary tier top-grade items. The prices were equally terrifying. I temporarily held back from buying anything. The most urgent task right now was to save up 1000 points for a lucky draw, which would be a much better deal. President Qin, the kid who made a move, is still being investigated, but Tang Shui's background is already clear. In the late afternoon, inside a secluded villa at the foot of Lishan Mountain, Li Jun handed over a stack of documents with both hands. I took the documents and quickly skimmed through them, unable to help but marvel. Having money really gets things done. Tang Shui was just an intern doctor. Her background was very simple. The task was assigned at noon and it was done in 3 hours. After reading through it, I nodded slightly. Sure enough, it's him. President Qin, is there a problem with Tang Shui? Li Jun looked completely puzzled. It's nothing. Even if I told you, you wouldn't understand. I waved my hand. Go get some rest first. If I need anything, I'll call you. Li Jun bowed and backed out of the spacious living room. I was the only one left. I leaned back on the sofa, muttering to myself, so this is one of the female leads? The female leads in urban power fantasy novels are never just one person. The documents showed that Tang Shui's ancestors were a traditional medicine family. Her grandfather was very renowned in Quming City. It could basically be confirmed that the male lead was following the mountain divine doctor route, a classic trope, coming out of the mountains to acknowledge relatives or break off an engagement and conveniently saving a beauty to take home along the way. No wonder the system shoved this poison skill onto me. Turns out it was to prepare me to face off against a medical big shot. This is getting interesting. The corners of my mouth curled up, just making her change her perspective. Already earned me 300 points. If I actually managed to take him down, at the same time, Tang Shui had just gotten off work at Shanghai Hospital, feeling completely drained of energy. Little Line, hurry and boil some water. Little Shui will be here soon. Inside the Tang family's medical clinic, the old physician, Tang Dexuan sat upright. In his chair, Tang Shui had just parked her car when she heard from inside the house her grandfather's unusually enthusiastic. "Greetings. Why is Grandpa being so polite today? Who exactly is the guest?" Tang Shui slowed her steps and sneaked into the house. The conversation inside reached her ears very clearly. "Don't busy yourself, sir. I'm in no rush." It was a young man's voice, his tone sounding lazy, yet inexplicably familiar. Tang Shui's heart suddenly skipped a beat. She rushed inside in just a few steps. There were two people sitting in the living room. On one side was Tang Dexuan, the famous doctor. On the other side was a casually dressed young man, slouching on the old wooden chair as if he had no bones, his hands resting behind his head. "Little Shui, you're back? Come here quickly. Let Grandpa introduce a friend to you. This is Lin Feng, he—" Before the old man could finish his sentence, their eyes met. "It's you again? Hey, little sister. We really are destined for each other." Tang Shui's face was full of shock and disgust. Lin Feng, however, smiled in a carefree manner. Tang Dexuan looked left and right, completely confused. "Did you two already know each other?" Tang Shui hurriedly gripped her purse tightly and pulled her grandfather into the corner of the room. "Grandpa, why is he here?" She completely ignored the introduction. Her eyes were fixed on him, and the young man lounging over there. The old man didn't understand what was going on. "Xiaolin is the son of an old benefactor of mine. He came down from the mountain on some business. He'll be staying with us for a few days." "Is something wrong?" "Wrong. A lot is wrong." Tang Shui didn't bother with a long explanation. She quickly recounted what had happened that morning, from beginning to end. "What? Did that really happen?" Tang Dexian's beard trembled with rage. "That brat dared to break the young master's leg of the Qin family? That's just too reckless. I saw it with my own eyes." "It's true. If you don't believe me, just ask him." Tang Shui pointed toward the sofa. The old man turned, trembling, to look at Lin Feng. The man didn't even bat an eye. He spoke slowly. "No need to ask. I heard everything." "That's right. I'm the one who broke Qin Shijia's leg. What are we going to do?" Tang Dexian's legs went weak. He almost collapsed on the spot. "Xiaolin, the Qin family is not to be trifled with. I'm afraid I won't be able to protect you. Maybe you should leave first. Find some place to hide for a while." Lin Feng let out a soft chuckle. "Old man, you're worrying too much. He's just some rich brat who knows nothing but partying. A good-for-nothing heir, that's all. No matter how powerful the Qin family is, they can't touch a single hair on my head. If they dare to come looking for trouble, I won't let any of you get involved." The meaning behind his words was crystal clear. In his eyes, the Qin family wasn't even worth mentioning. He came down from the mountain this time, mainly to find the fiancée from his childhood engagement. How could he just tuck his tail and run over something so trivial? As soon as he said that, Tang Shui's heart was in turmoil. She still had no idea how powerful Lin Feng was. All she knew was that he was the cause of this mess. If the Qin family followed the clues here, they would definitely come after the Tang family first. Meanwhile, I was standing in the grand hall of the Lishan villa. I couldn't help but let out a sigh. Such a huge house, and I'm the only one living here. It feels like a tomb. As I was lost in thought, my phone suddenly rang. "Mr. Qin." It was Li Jun's voice on the other end. "We've found the guy who hurt the young master." Xiao Liu saw him with his own eyes. "He's at Tang Dexian's traditional medicine clinic, with that old man Tong, laughing and talking. Their relationship is definitely not simple." "I see," I said calmly. "Should I have Xiao Liu call a few more of the boys? We can go grab that punk right now," Li Jun said coldly. "No, absolutely not." I stopped him immediately. "That guy was able to take down the bodyguards. He's no ordinary person. Bringing more men will be useless. We can't play into his hands. This guy is not easy to deal with. No matter how many people you bring, it'll be a waste of effort. I want you to report it to the police right now." "Report to the police?" Li Jun was stunned, his mouth agape. "Yes, exactly. Report it to the police," I said casually. "We are good, law-abiding citizens." "My son's leg was broken by someone. What's wrong with filing a police report?" "Yes, sir." He hung up and went to carry out the order. Elsewhere, Chief Zhang Zhen received the news and was instantly on high alert. He didn't have time to think. He immediately assembled his team. "Chief, what's happened?" The female officer on duty, Liu Roxy, dressed in her neat uniform, exuded a cold, imposing aura. Seeing the serious expression on her superior's face, she immediately focused. "It's big. Of course it's big. Zhang Zhen's voice was urgent. You know Qin Tian from the Qin Corporation, don't you? Of course, the model entrepreneur. He's always in the news. Who doesn't know him? Right, his son's leg was broken by someone this morning. We have a suspect. I need you to lead a team and bring him in. What? Something like that happened? I guarantee I'll complete the mission. After speaking, Liu Ruoxi gathered her files. She immediately organized her personnel. One team, check the surveillance cameras. The rest of you, head straight to the Tang family's clinic with me. At that moment, I was in the Yishan villa. A voice echoed in my head. System host has deviated from the script. Original plot value, 6,000. Recaptured 30 luck points. Villain points increased by 800. System has detected that villain points have reached the required threshold. Would you like to unlock the system lottery? I thought to myself, draw a skill, draw successful. System, congratulations, host. You have received a portion of internal energy. Seeing this, I was a bit stunned. In this day and age, people can actually cultivate internal energy? System, absolutely. Host, the protagonist, just uses it to treat the severely injured. He relies entirely on this, A, to stay alive. I see. The protagonist really is a cheat. After a moment's thought, I mentally accepted. Receive. Immediately, a surge of hot energy erupted from my dantian. It instantly spread through my limbs. System. Acquisition successful. Received internal strength. Physique plus 20. Essence plus 5. Vitality plus 30. I clenched my fist. My muscles pulsed. My strength had increased by more than just a little. It felt like my stats had just been refreshed. It's great. Even though it cost 1,000 points, this massive boost was more than worth it. At least now, I'm no longer a weakling. Oh, right. There's still my own business to attend to. I suddenly remembered the main task. I reached out and pressed the call button on the wall. Old Feng, come here for a moment. Butler Feng, whose real name was Feng Day, was over 50 but still moved with agility. He usually stayed in the small house in the front courtyard, managing all the miscellaneous affairs of the villa. Young master, what are your instructions? In less than 2 minutes, Butler Feng appeared. I glanced at the 91% loyalty rating above his head. Good enough, as expected of a loyal servant. Who has served the Qin family for 2 generations? After confirming there were no issues, I took out a pen and filled a page with a list. Prepare the items on this list. The sooner, the better. Butler Feng took it. As he read it, his face immediately turned pale. 2 bags of silver needles, poisonous centipedes, venomous scorpions, powdered venomous snake fangs. Young master, the silver needles are one thing, but the rest of these are all highly toxic materials. Don't ask, I have my own use for them. Yes, sir. I'll get on it right away. Butler Feng bowed and excused himself. I leaned back into the sofa again. These things might sound terrifying, but to me, they're just daily necessities. I looked around the brightly lit villa. With my tasks done, I suddenly felt bored out of my mind. Maybe I should find some entertainment. Meanwhile, outside the Tang family's residence, red and blue police lights flashed. Lin Feng had just finished a full meal and was about to go downstairs for a walk to aid his digestion. Just then, Liu Ruoxi stepped out of her car. His eyes lit up. Liu Ruoxi noticed him staring at her and immediately frowned. He looked just like the photo. She led 2 officers straight toward him. Are you Lin Feng? Are you asking me, beautiful officer? Who else? Is there a second person here? That cocky tone only annoyed Liu Ruoxi even more. He had no idea this was a classic opening scene for a protagonist. I am Lin Feng. Is there a problem, officer? We have a report that you intentionally caused bodily harm. Come with us to the station for questioning. Lin Feng froze on the spot. What? Before he could finish speaking, the 2 officers closed in from his left and right. Wait, officers, is there some kind of misunderstanding? He sensed that something was wrong. His expression turned to one of shock. Are you brain dead? Don't you know what you've done? You're coming with us. Liu Ruoxi gave him no chance to argue. The moment she finished speaking, she moved to grab him. According to the original script, this beautiful and skilled police officer was supposed to be a key character, who appeared much later in the story. But now, because of Qin Tian's interference, the timeline was completely messed up. Lin Feng had run into her much earlier. At this point, Lin Feng hadn't had time to build his connections or establish his reputation. With no one to back him up, he lost all his swagger in front of the police. This was the core reason why he could be taken down by the villain. Now, being arrested right on the street, Lin Feng's brow furrowed as his mind raced. A few seconds later, he decisively gave up resisting. "No need to trouble you two officers. I can walk myself." What? Lin Feng was arrested. When Tang Dexian heard the news, he nearly jumped out of his chair. "Yes, Grandpa," Tang Shui quickly replied. "I was just about to go out for a walk when I saw the police car stop him and take him away." "How could this happen?" Tang Dexian panicked. "Xiao Sui, hurry! Come with me to the police station, right now!" Tang Shui felt he was overreacting, but after a moment's thought, she still nodded in agreement. Liu Ruoxi. The news of Lin Feng's arrest spread like wildfire. A few minutes later, Chief Zhang Zhen also received the news. To stabilize the situation, Zhang Zhen immediately called the driver, Li Jun. I had just heard the ding of a money transfer notification. When I snapped to attention, without a second thought, I called. Li Jun floored it, heading straight for the police station. The car door creaked as it opened. A group of police officers hurried over to greet me. "Hello, Mr. Qin. Thank you for your hard work," I said with a casual wave. This gesture surprised the officers. Such a big shot, yet not a hint of arrogance. "Mr. Qin, this way, please." A young officer reacted quickly, immediately taking the lead to guide us. Seeing this, Li Jun and I followed at a leisurely pace. "So you admit it? You're the one who did it." Lin Feng smirked and shrugged. "What's the point in denying it? I did it, so I'll own up to it." Liu Roxy gritted her teeth in frustration. This guy was clearly saving someone, but his methods were too brutal, and he acted so nonchalant about it. His flippant attitude made her blood boil. Just then, I pushed open the door to the interrogation room and walked in. I happened to walk in on this very scene. My gaze fell upon Liu Ruoxi's face. In that moment, my heart skipped a beat. This female officer had fair skin and a delicate face that looked like it came straight out of a painting. Her figure was curvy in all the right places. On the police force, she was truly a rare beauty. More importantly, she was interrogating the protagonist. Damn it, isn't this the standard female lead archetype? How did I accidentally let the protagonist meet another one of the female leads? Before, I was so focused on using Tang Shui to farm villain points. How could I forget that in an urban novel, there's always a beautiful police officer? If I'd known this would happen, even for 10,000 villain points, I wouldn't have called the cops. This kid's plot armor? Just how ridiculous is this? I couldn't help but scream internally. System is scanning the target named Lin Feng. Luck value 3,753. Confirmed as a child of destiny. Seeing that, I was instantly speechless. Over 3,700. I don't even have a fraction of his luck. I give up. I completely concede. Seeing me walk in, Liu Ruxi quickly stood up straight along with her colleague. You must be Mr. Qin, right?" "Yes, that's me. I didn't even want to pay attention to." "Lin Feng." I turned my head and looked straight at Liu Ruoxi. "Officer Liu, I'm sure you know why I'm here." "I understand," Liu Ruoxi replied. "Mr. Qin, could we talk somewhere else?" "No problem," I agreed immediately. Liu Ruoxi breathed a quiet sigh of relief, then led me to an office. I didn't stand on ceremony, pulling out a chair and sitting across from her. "Mr. Qin, regarding the incident this morning, we have a basic understanding of the situation. The cause was your son starting a fight." Liu Ruoxi took everything she had gathered and recounted the entire sequence of events. "That's the gist of it. Mr. Qin, how do you think we should handle this appropriately?" After speaking, Liu Ruoxi discreetly glanced at me, seemingly trying to gauge my reaction. The room fell silent for a long time. Finally, I spoke up slowly. "Your investigation results aren't much different from what I know. You don't need to look at my expression. To do your job, just judge according to the law. I am a law-abiding citizen. I just want justice." As soon as I said this, Liu Ruoxi was a bit surprised. After all, this wasn't a huge deal. With my family's background in Kwayuming City, making it go away would be as easy as flipping my hand. Thinking of this, Liu Ruoxi spoke up. "In my experience, for this kind of matter, it's best for both parties to sit down and talk. If it can be settled privately, that would naturally save everyone a lot of trouble." Hearing this, the corners of my mouth curled up, and I let out a laugh. "Officer Liu, tell me, how do we settle this privately? Are you expecting an older man like me to calmly negotiate with a brat over how much compensation to pay?" Liu Ruoxi immediately froze. Right, his money is piled up like mountains. Why would he ever care about Lin Feng's meager compensation money? All right then, don't put yourself in a tough spot. I stood up straight. I'll have my lawyer come and handle this. Seeing Liu Ruoxi at a loss for words, I decisively stood up to take my leave. Being able to throw someone like Lin Feng into jail for a few days just thinking about it is amusing. Let's leave it at that. I have things to do, so I won't stay long. Sorry for bothering you today. I reached out my hand, my tone extremely polite. No, it's nothing. It's our job. Liu Roxy was a bit dazed, reflexively reaching out to shake my hand. In that moment, I only felt that her hand was cold and soft. How strange. Watching me actually leave the police station with my driver, Liu Roxy looked completely bewildered. Logically speaking, since he knew Lin Feng was arrested, shouldn't he have used his connections to apply pressure right away? Why did he personally come all the way to the interrogation room? For a trip, Lin Feng had been fully prepared to face off against me. But in the end, I came and didn't even bother to give him a single glance. In that moment, Lin Feng almost suffocated from anger. One day, I will make your Qin family kneel down and beg me. The one thing a man can't stand the most is being looked down upon. This time, his ruthlessness was completely triggered. Outside the police station, I hadn't left yet. Just then, an inconspicuous car slowly pulled up nearby. Two people stepped out of the car. One of them I actually recognized. Oh, little lady, we really do have a destiny together, don't we? To think we'd even bump into each other at the police station. I wasn't in a hurry to get in my car, but smiled and walked over. Mr. Qin, hello. Seeing it was me, Tang Shui's expression instantly changed. She started stuttering. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. I narrowed my eyes, my tone carrying a hint of teasing. This old man, Tang Dexian, greets President Qin. Just as Tang Shui opened her mouth, Tang Dexian hurriedly stepped forward with an apologetic smile. Tang Dexian, I chuckled softly. I know you. You're a famous traditional Chinese medicine doctor in Qiuming. I've heard your medical skills are superb. President Qin flatters me. Tang Dexian quickly bowed his head. It's no flattery at all. I've long heard of your reputation. By the way, what brings you here, old sir? My words were clearly asking a question I already knew the answer to, but it made old Tang's heart clench. He absolutely didn't believe that I didn't know Lin Feng was connected to him. In other words, I was probing his stance. Old Tang had been around the block his whole life. He was far too experienced in dealing with people. He immediately understood and spoke up. Mr. Qin, I am truly sorry. I also just heard that Mr. Lin and young Master Qin had a conflict last night. Mr. Lin just arrived in Qiuming City. He's new here, so a moment of impulsiveness is hard to avoid. I hope you can be the bigger person, show some leniency, and let him off. Tang Dexian was indeed quite the character. His words held several layers of meaning. First, saying I just heard to wash his hands of any direct involvement, proving he didn't tip anyone off beforehand. Then, saying Lin Feng just arrived implied their relationship wasn't deep. Just an old acquaintance. He was clearly here to beg for mercy, yet he acted humble, as if making a concession. He drew a clear line, without offending either side, killing 3 birds with 1 stone. I smiled and said, Mr. Tang, I don't quite understand what you mean. I, Qintian, am just an honest businessman. My son was beaten up, and the only thing I could do was call the police. You're asking me to show leniency? I'm a law-abiding citizen. Where would I get the authority to interfere with? Official business? But you don't need to worry. Whoever is at fault will bear the consequences. If my son started the trouble, I won't falsely accuse a good person, nor will I take my anger out on others. As for this dispute between my son and that guy Lin, well, I believe the police officers will definitely handle it fairly. Don't you agree? Tang Dexian was left completely speechless by my words. Seeing this, I waved my hand and said, All right, I have things to do. Take care. After speaking, I nodded at him, turned around, and slid into the back seat of the Rolls-Royce. My movements were crisp and decisive, leaving absolutely no room for negotiation. It's just that no one saw. Right before I closed the car door, the corners of my mouth curled into a cold smirk. Want to turn a big issue into a small one, and a small one into nothing? This old man from the Tang family is way too naive. I went through so much trouble to throw this guy in here. How could I let him out so easily? Old Li, give Deng Junchu a call. Have him handle this case. Find a way to throw that brat in prison. Understood, President Qin. Even though Old Li felt a bit conflicted inside, unable to understand why his boss insisted on going through legal procedures to handle this matter. The news quickly reached Deng Junchu's ears. After hearing the whole story, he slapped his thigh and said, Lin Feng is definitely going to rot in a cell this time. Even though Qin Shijie was wrong to strike first, Lin Feng's combo was way too vicious. The guy just threw one punch, and he turned around, kicked him flying, and took down several bodyguards. Beating the bodyguards wasn't enough. He just had to rush up and intentionally stomp on young Master Qin's shin until it broke. That kind of finishing blow clearly leaves no way out for the victim. The evidence is right there in plain sight. Every single strike was aimed at a vital spot. If I can't throw him in jail with all this, then I might as well quit this industry. By the time I got home, it was already 9 p.m. Before my butt could even touch the sofa, the doorbell suddenly rang. Right after, Butler Feng's voice echoed out, Young Master, Miss Mu is here. Hearing that, I raised an eyebrow. Let her in. Mu Die walked through the door, her movements brisk and efficient. She was Qin Tian's personal secretary. Her name was Murong Die, but she was usually called Mu Dai. Black hair tied up in a high bun, wearing black-rimmed glasses, a white dress shirt paired with a black pencil skirt, sheer pantyhose, and high heels. Her graceful walk exuded an imposing aura. President Qin. She stood firmly in the middle of the living room, her tone respectful. I scanned her from head to toe and gave a cool response. Have a seat. After the original owner's wife passed away, he had a few female confidants on the side, but Mu Dai was never one of them. It wasn't because she wasn't pretty enough. That wasn't the main point. It was because this woman was highly capable. The company couldn't function without her. No matter how arrogant Qin Tian was, he wouldn't ruin such a pillar of support. Just for a moment of pleasure. President Qin, I'm here to report your schedule for tomorrow and recent work updates. I nodded. The executive meeting originally scheduled for today was postponed due to the young master's situation. It's been moved to 10 a.m. tomorrow. Additionally, President Su of the SU Group has scheduled a dinner with you at 5 p.m. tomorrow at the Dihao Hotel to discuss the details of the collaboration between our two families. Here's the itinerary. Would you like to take a look? She said, handing over a document. Hearing this, I waved my hand. I've got a headache. No need. Just arrange everything properly. Understood, President Qin. Here's also a project document for the Yicheng residential area. Right after that, she reported further on the work progress over the past few days. It was about an hour later before she finally left. As for me, I had officially wrapped up my first day since transmigrating the life of a CEO. Early the next morning, I arrived at the company on time, ready to clean up the mess. Meanwhile, Lin Feng had spent the entire night at the police station. Upon hearing that he might have to go to prison, he froze, completely on the spot. Early in the morning, the police had come and announced his 2 charges: excessive self-defense and intentional assault. Added together, he'd be looking at least a couple of years behind bars. Lin Feng's eyes turned cold. In his heart, he had already etched a blood feud with the Qin family. But hatred aside, right now, he truly couldn't think of a way to break this deadlock. Lin, little brother, I am truly sorry. Tang Dexian's face was full of guilt. You really can't be blamed for this. It's my fault for not seeing the situation clearly. Lin Feng spoke lightly, but in reality, he wasn't happy at all. The Qin family wants me to go to jail? No way in hell. As soon as he said that, his mind quickly raced through several possibilities. Seeing the glint in Lin Feng's eyes, Tang Dexian immediately continued. Lin, little brother, as long as you name it, I, Tang Dexian, will absolutely not refuse. Lin Feng snapped back to reality and smiled. There actually is something I need to trouble you with, old man. Tang Dexian raised an eyebrow, a bit surprised. Without waiting for him to ask, Lin Feng reached up and took off a jade pendant from his neck. Please help me deliver this item to someone. Ding successfully reported the protagonist minor plot adjustment has taken effect. System villain points. Plus 300, deducted 20 luck points. I glanced at the system notification, my eyebrows furrowing slightly. Only 300 points? Last time, just calling the cops earned me 800 points. This time, I even used a lawyer and only got this much. I shook my head and stopped dwelling on it. After all, these things aren't something I can control anyway. I just need to keep moving forward at the same time. He was walking with his beautiful secretary, Mu Dai, arriving at the company. With a stone-cold face, he strode forward. Mu Dai didn't look around. Holding a folder, she walked beside him, her mouth non-stop reporting the matters to be handled in today's meeting. While speaking, She kept stealing glances at the man beside her. Tall and straight posture, his face exuding a sharp yet composed aura. He was completely different from all the men she had ever met. In her heart, this was the absolute perfect man. It was just a pity that her background was too ordinary. Compared to a super rich man like him, they were worlds apart. These feelings could only be buried deep in her heart. Even in her dreams, she didn't dare to think about loving him. Second brother, you're finally here. Kin Group headquarters, 88th floor. As soon as the elevator doors opened, standing in front of the meeting room was a man in a suit. With slicked back hair and a beaming smile, he greeted me. The Qin family had a total of 4 children. Each had their own distinct personality. The eldest brother, Qin Zheng, had served in the military for over 10 years. He had a quiet temperament and didn't like getting involved in business. He had a few star-rated hotels under his management and just wanted a peaceful life. The third brother, Qin Yu, was exactly like his name. He spent all day immersed in martial arts. With a fiery temper, he managed all the gyms, martial arts dojos, and entertainment venues like nightclubs. The youngest sister, Qin Yue, was a strong businesswoman. A master's graduate from a prestigious overseas university, she managed all the women's consumer brands of the family. She was ruthless and decisive. As for me, I was the second child. Since childhood, I had a natural talent for business. The old man handed all the core assets over to me. At this point, someone might ask, aren't the other siblings jealous? But that was absolutely impossible. According to novel tropes, villainous families all share one common trait. They are united like a block of iron. Hit one of them, and the whole family rushes you, hurt. One of them, and the entire clan erupts in fury. This wasn't an act. It was just standard equipment. Third brother, what are you doing here? I came to give you an invitation. Qin Yu casually pulled out a gold-plated invitation card. I'm getting married in half a month. Second brother, you definitely have to be there. I originally planned to give it to you at the family dinner, but I was afraid you'd be too busy and forget. I was a bit stunned. So sudden? What do you mean sudden? I'm 38 years old, is getting married now considered rushing it? Qin Yu grinned broadly, completely unbothered. All right, second brother, you need to speed things up too. As he spoke, his gaze shifted down to Mu Deye, who was standing next to me. I'm waiting to drink wedding wine for you and Miss Mu here. I froze on the spot. Mu Dae's face flushed bright red, and her ears looked like they were about to steam. Can you be serious for a second? I snapped back and glared at him. This guy is almost 40, yet he still makes fun of me all day. Qin Yu laughed so hard he slapped the table, thoroughly amused. The two of us chatted for a bit longer. Qin Yu shoved the invitation into my hand, then turned and left without another word. As soon as Qin Yu left, the group's regular executive meeting began. The conference table quickly filled up. Everyone present was a core member of the company, seeing the crowd below sitting in dead silence, listening to me speak. I felt a certain sense of satisfaction in my heart. This meeting didn't have any complicated procedures. It was just about which plot of land was stuck in the approval process, which project needed more capital injection, and which connections needed a little greasing. With the original owner's memories to handle things, plus Murong Dai by my side helping to check for errors, dealing with these matters went incredibly smoothly. But what I didn't notice was that, ever since Qin Yu brought it up, during the meeting, Murong Dai would occasionally peek through her black-rimmed glasses to steal a glance at me. 3:00 p.m., Quming City, the Su family mansion. Su Zhengyang was standing in the living room of his villa, his brows tightly furrowed, looking at his elderly father sitting on the sofa with a baffled expression. Dad, what is the background of the owner of this jade pendant? Is it really worth it? Offending the Qin family for his sake? Whether the Qin family is worthy or not isn't my call to make. Old Master Su slowly turned the jade pendant over in his hand. It had a strange shape. He couldn't make out any clues from it. His voice was low, but it left no room for doubt. This is a promise I made many years ago. Back then, it was a time of chaos. I was on the run, hunted by my enemies until I had nowhere left to go. That person saved my life. But even so, Dad, you can't just decide this on your own. To marry Yanyan off to some nobody, Zhengyang let out a sigh. If Yanyan finds out about this, won't she raise all hell? Raise hell? What's there to raise hell about? The old master snorted coldly. To become the fiancé of his disciple is a blessing for her. It's an opportunity others would kill for. What does she have to complain about? Grandpa, Dad, what are you two talking about? A clear, pleasant voice suddenly rang out, breaking the argument in the room. A figure in a light blue dress walked in gracefully. Su Yanyan. Su Jungyang's only daughter, 24 years old this year. Standing at 5'5", her straight black hair fell naturally over her shoulders. Paired with that flawless, cold face, she was so beautiful it was impossible to look away. Yanyan, what are you doing here? Seeing Su Yanyan at the door, Su Jungyang froze on the spot, his face flushed slightly. He and the old master hadn't said a word to her about what they were just discussing. I left a file here, I just came back to get it, Su Yanyan said calmly. Her gaze then shifted to her father. Dad, I just heard you two talking about a fiancé. It sounded strange. Su Zhengyang grew even more uncomfortable. His fingers unconsciously fiddled with his pant leg. You can run, but you can't hide. Since she heard it, just tell her straight. Old Master Su waved his hand dismissively. His tone was quite firm. A childhood engagement with an ice-cold beauty. This trope is actually pretty cliché. But if things go according to the usual script, this Ice Queen CEO will definitely refuse. Next, the old master will get the protagonist, a job at the company, probably as her personal driver or bodyguard. Then, the protagonist will use his skills to save the beauty from danger a few times, and the iceberg will naturally, slowly melt into a warm spring. As expected, the moment Su Yanyan heard about it, she flew into a rage. I will not marry him. With that, she grabbed her file and stormed out. The door slammed shut behind her. Old Master Su let out a long sigh. Su Zhengyang could only shake his head with a bitter smile, but the old man already had a plan in mind. Given enough time, his granddaughter would sooner or later be won over by that kid. Xiaodi, on the company's books, how much liquid cash do we have? Doing business over dinner and drinks is a common practice for many in this country. That's why Mu Dai intentionally scheduled the meeting between the Qin and Su families for the evening. Around 6 billion. I rubbed my chin and nodded. Is that enough? Do you need money for something? If you need it, I can mobilize it right now. No need. I was just asking. Just go prepare for the meeting later. For me, right now, maintaining the family business is enough. Why would I bother thinking about other ventures? No matter how fast other businesses grow, can they beat scamming the protagonist for money? At 5 p.m., Mu Dai and I headed straight for the Imperial Grand Hotel. As soon as we arrived at the entrance, a man in a suit hurried over. Welcome, CEO Qin. I'm the manager here. My surname is Gong. CEO Su is already waiting for you in the private room. Lead the way. Following him down the corridor, we quickly arrived at the Heavenly Grace private room. Haha, CEO Qin, you're here. Come in. Come in. Hello, Uncle Qin. Isn't this little Yanyan? I looked her up and down. Wow, you've grown so tall. Let Uncle give you a hug. I almost blurted that out. Luckily, I caught myself and swallowed the words back down. Both families are top tier in Quming City. So, of course, we knew each other. Our relationship wasn't exactly close, but it wasn't bad either. The Su family's main business is in home appliance manufacturing. They have a solid reputation in the industry. This time, our collaboration is over a piece of land. It's a bit of a complicated situation. The Qin family isn't in the real estate business. Our capital is almost entirely tied up in home appliances. But we have extensive connections, so the Su and Qin families discussed a plan. We would secure the land and let the Su family develop it. The Qin family wouldn't invest any money. We'd just receive dividends. Besides their driver and bodyguard, the Su family had 3 people present this time. Su Zhengyang, his daughter Su Yanyan, and a female secretary next to them. The first time I saw Su Yanyan, I was taken aback for a moment. This girl was truly, flawlessly beautiful. Dazzlingly so, but her eyes were as cold as a winter lake. A classic, cold, and arrogant CEO type. First, there was the frail nurse, then the hot-tempered policewoman, and now an ice-cold beauty appears. Could she also be one of the female leads? Until the female lead and the male protagonist have a deep enough connection, their luck won't transfer to a villain. They just look like normal people, so you can't directly check who the female lead is. I can only make an educated guess. Right now, Su Yanyan seems very likely, but I can't be 100% sure. The 2 bosses exchanged polite greetings on the surface, but the ones actually discussing the details were Mu Daiye and the female secretary, Li Yutong. Footsteps. I heard that your son, Geo Qin, got into a conflict with someone yesterday, and even had to be hospitalized. Is that true? Before the food was even touched, Su Zhengyang started with a probing question. Yes, that's right, it did happen. It was my son who was in the wrong first, but the other party was too vicious. He went straight for a crippling blow. I couldn't just let it go. I've already reported it to the police. The man is in jail now. System. Su Yanyan's impression of the host has changed. Villain points, plus 100. Fortune value, plus 10. What's going on? We've only exchanged a few sentences and her impression already changed? I subconsciously glanced at Su Yanyan beside me. Unexpectedly, she was also looking at me. Our eyes met. The strange thing was, a faint blush appeared on Su Yanyan's cheeks. She seemed to realize something was off, and quickly spoke up to smooth things over. Uncle Chin, I used to hear people say that you were extremely protective of your son, that you let him get away with anything. Seeing you today, it seems those were just baseless rumors. Ha ha ha! You really know how to flatter someone, my dear niece? I laughed heartily, but what you said isn't entirely correct. Actually, the rumors you heard aren't completely false. At this point, my expression turned serious. A few years ago, I was completely focused on my career. I had absolutely no time to look after my son. The way Chiji is now is largely my fault for spoiling him. But I've come to my senses these past few years. From now on, I will discipline him strictly. I can't let him cause this kind of trouble again. I spoke with great sincerity. As I spoke, I wondered to myself, I wonder if this will earn me a few more villain points. In the end, not only was Su Yanyan astonished, but even her father, Su Jingyang, even Mu Dai, who was talking to the secretary across from us, turned her head to glance at me. System, ding, successfully changed the female lead. Su Yanyan's impression of the host. Villain points, plus 300. Fortune value, plus 20. Ding, important character. Su Jingyang's impression of the host has successfully changed. Villain points, 200. Fortune value, plus 10. Villain points have met the requirement. You can now draw a reward. Draw now? Wait, Su Jingyang too? What kind of status does he have? I was shaken. Seeing the 4 words important character in the system, it all clicked into place. He must be the type of character who helps Lan Feng in the original story. For these kinds of people, as long as I change their perception of me, I can gain resources. Thinking of this, I almost slammed the table. If I'd known earlier, I would have suppressed Tang Dexuan a few more times. System, reward successfully drawn. System, max level combat skills. I was just looking for a way to increase my own strength. The moment I saw combat skills, I confirmed it without a second thought. After receiving the max level combat skills, a flood of information suddenly appeared in my mind. The me right now is far stronger than when I was just blindly accumulating power. CEO Qin, have you had some kind of life-changing epiphany recently? It's been a while since we last met, but your whole aura has changed. Su Jingyang took the wineglass the server had just brought and personally poured me a glass of Romani Conti. Seeing this, I reached out and accepted it without hesitation. The two of us took a small sip. We made some small talk as we drank. It wasn't until all the dishes had been served that Su Jingyang put down his chopsticks. His tone changed. To be honest with you, besides discussing our collaboration today, I also have a small favor to ask. I'd like your help with something. The moment he said that, I already had a good idea of what was coming. Whatever it is, just say it. I hate beating around the bush. Su Jingyang, on the other hand, was a bit stunned. Ha ha, since you're so straightforward, I won't hide it anymore. Actually, Lin Feng, the man who caused trouble with your son, has some connection to my Su family. As he spoke, he stole a glance at my expression. Seeing no major reaction from me, he continued, Could I trouble you to go easy on him? Don't pursue the matter any further. Let the kid get out of jail time. What do you say? Of course he came for Lin Feng. Although the system's reward had already hinted that Su Jingyang was an important character, I never expected this guy, in order to protect Lin Feng, would personally humble himself to plead with me. That Lin Feng guy only just arrived in Quming City a few days ago. How did he so quickly latch on to the powerful Su family? This truly is the destiny of a protagonist. He finds backing wherever he goes. His luck is unbelievably strong. The old Qin Tian probably would have fallen for it. I pretended to think for a few seconds before speaking slowly. To be honest, I really had no idea. That kid had such a deep background, and was even connected to your Su family. Actually, my son was the one who started the trouble yesterday. I originally intended to let him suffer a bit to learn his lesson. It's just that Lin Feng's methods were too severe. That's why I had to resort to legal channels. Su Jungyang was stunned when he heard this. So what you're saying is, well, since you've put it that way, go Su, wouldn't I be disrespecting you if I didn't agree? Forget about the compensation. I'm not short on that little bit of money. Have him come and apologize to me in person, and we'll call it even. President Su, does that sound good to you? As soon as Su Jungyang heard this, he was absolutely thrilled. He quickly agreed. Based on what he knew about me from before, I would either be overly protective of my son and demand an immediate confrontation, severing our ties right then and there. Either way, the Su and Qin families would become enemies. But who would have thought that now all it took was an apology? Who would say no to such a sweet deal? But Su Jungyang completely failed to realize that this matter wasn't as simple as it seemed. Setting everything else aside, just getting Lin Feng to bow his head and apologize was practically mission impossible. Have you ever seen a novel's protagonist actually apologize to the villain? If the main character was that cowardly, the fans would be the first to riot. Secretly rejoicing, Su Jungyang immediately pulled out his phone. He called his people to hurry to the police station and pick up Lin Feng, telling them to say that everything had been resolved. I was also very decisive. I turned around and called Li Jun right away, telling him to inform Deng Junchu that the case didn't need to be investigated anymore. Pull out. With just one word from me, Deng Junchu immediately withdrew his men. Back at the police station, Yu Ruoki could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Just a moment ago, she was worried the Qin family wouldn't let this go. If that happened, people solving cases like them would have a headache every single day. Meanwhile, at the entrance of the police station, Lin Feng casually strolled out of the main gate, looking completely relaxed. That jade pendant the old man gave me before I left is pretty effective, huh? The Qin family is nothing special. Let's go. President Su is waiting at the Imperial Hotel. The driver reminded him coldly. All right. I'm coming, Lin Feng replied with a cheeky grin. Before leaving, he turned back to look at the police station gate, feeling a bit regretful that he couldn't show off in front of Liu Ruoki. But that didn't matter right now. Hurrying to meet his fiancée was the main priority. Half an hour later, at the Imperial Hotel, everyone had already eaten their fill and was sitting in the ace chatting away. Lin Feng was led in by the driver, pushing the door open and stepping into the room. As soon as he entered, his eyes quickly scanned the room. Not a single beauty in the room was missed. Hushed. But when his gaze landed on Su Yunran, he instantly had his answer. He truly didn't expect such a gorgeous woman to actually be his fiancée. Holy crap, this face, she doesn't lose out to Morong Dai next to her at all. Coming down the mountain this time was definitely worth it. You must be Lin Feng. Su Jungyang immediately put on the air of an elder. Lin Feng bowed slightly, acting polite. Hello, Uncle Su. Seeing that the kid was sensible and well-mannered, Su Jungyang nodded in satisfaction. He pointed to the empty seat next to him. Have a seat. Lin Feng didn't decline and plopped down. We can talk about other things later. Let me introduce you first. This is President Qin. You two have probably met already. We've met. Of course we've met. Lin Feng smirked, a hint of mockery in his tone. If his son wasn't so blind, how could I have been thrown in jail? As soon as those words left his mouth, aside from me, everyone else's expression changed drastically, including Su Yunran and Morong Dai. Is this guy mentally challenged? Daring to call Qintian's son a useless piece of trash, right in front of two big shots? This wasn't just a slap in Qintian's face, it was also a slap in Su Jungyang's face. Su Jungyang glanced at me. Seeing that I hadn't reacted yet, he hurriedly put on a stern face to salvage the situation. Lin Feng, do you have any idea what kind of nonsense you're spouting? Lin Feng sensed the tension in the air, but he didn't change his tune. Uncle Su, of course, I know what I'm saying. His son was acting like a thug in broad daylight, and even tried to hit me, throwing his weight around just because he had bodyguards. If I hadn't reacted fast enough, I'd be lying in a hospital bed right now. This time, before I could even say a word, Su Jungyang slammed the table and stood up. You really have no respect for anyone, the young master of President Qin's family. Is it your place to point fingers and judge him? Get your ass over there right now and apologize to President Qin. Otherwise, I, Su Jungyang, will tear up all ties today, and none of us will have any peace. Seeing Lin Feng's arrogant attitude, Su Yanran frowned, her heart turning half cold. She couldn't help but steal a glance at me. Compared to an impulsive brat like Lin Feng, Uncle Qin, sitting there in silence, exuded a steady and reliable aura. This is what a man who can shoulder everything looks like. Lin Feng shot Qin Tian a disdainful look. Sorry, Uncle Su. I'm giving you face this time, but asking me to bow my head and admit I'm wrong. Not happening. His words were as hard as stone, leaving absolutely no room for compromise. You little bastard. You really think you're invincible? I shouldn't have begged President Qin to spare your miserable life. Su Zhengyang's voice trembled with rage, even cursing out loud. Hearing this, Lin Feng frowned. Uncle Su, you shouldn't have bowed down and begged him in the first place. With my skills, helping you swallow the Qin family whole wouldn't be hard at all. Before Su Zhengyang could even respond to that, he felt dizzy and collapsed straight backward. Dad, what's wrong? Su Yanran, who was closest, reacted first. Even I, who had been in the mood to watch a good show, didn't have time to overthink. I quickly stepped forward and caught him. When Lin Feng saw Su Zhengyang collapse, not only did he not panic, but a gleam actually flashed in his eyes. His chance had come. As long as he cured him, all the previous troubles would be wiped clean. The protagonist's luck was just that absurd. The more desperate the situation, the easier it was to turn the tables. Just as the bodyguards were about to rush him to the hospital, Lin Feng suddenly spoke up. Wait, let me take a look first. Su Yanran turned her head, and seeing it was him, she was chilled to the bone with anger. Guards, drag him out. I don't want to see his face anymore. Two bodyguards immediately sprang into action, closing in on Lin Feng from the left and right. Seeing things going south, Lin Feng hurriedly shouted, I'm a doctor. Uncle Su is having a sudden acute attack. If I don't act now, by the time you get to the hospital, he'll be cold. As soon as Lin Feng finished speaking, Su Yanran froze on the spot. Even though her father feigning was more or less Lin Feng's fault, and she was sick to death of this guy, what he said wasn't entirely unreasonable. It would take at least 15 minutes to get to the nearest hospital. If there was traffic, they might not even make it in half an hour. Seeing Lin Feng speak with such certainty, not looking like he was lying at all, Su Yanran started to waver. Just as she was about to nod in agreement, a calm, steady voice suddenly rang out beside her. Yanran, don't trust him. Su Yanran abruptly looked up, only to realize I was ordering the bodyguards to lay Su Zhengyang flat on his back. With one hand checking his pulse, I didn't even bother looking up. Your father ended up like this because he pissed him off, and now you're going to let him save him? Besides, looking at him, he's barely in his 20s. What kind of doctor could he possibly be? Su Yanran snapped back to reality. But Uncle Qin, we can't just wait around like this. Hearing this, I waved my hand, my fingers still resting on Su Zhengyang's wrist. Relax, I'm here. With that, I leaned down to check his breathing, then unbuttoned Su Zhengyang's dress shirt. Lin Feng, furious beyond belief, roared, Qin Tian! You're using this chance to get revenge. If you delay his treatment, you'll be his murderer. This was his only chance to turn things around, yet it was being snuffed out by someone else. How could he not be furious? Shut up, I barked out, completely lacking the time to deal with him. After confirming his heartbeat was weak, I quickly laid him flat and began chest compressions. This scene left everyone dumbfounded. The high and mighty President Qin actually knew first aid. Lin Feng, who was gritting his teeth and getting ready to curse again, was also stunned when he saw my movements. His technique is flawless. The rhythm, the pressure, the hand placement, everything was impeccable. Even if he were the one doing it, he couldn't have done it any better. Everyone, step back a bit. Don't crowd around him. Let the air circulate, Qin Tian ordered while continuing the chest compressions, his tone leaving no room for argument. Hurry! Everyone step back! Su Yanran didn't have time to overthink, and hurriedly followed his instructions. Standing to the side, Su Yanran clenched her fists tightly, her heart pounding in sync with every compression. Fortunately, she didn't have to wait too long. With the secret support of my true ki, Su Zhengyang, lying on the floor, suddenly twitched. A faint heartbeat returned to his chest. Seeing this, Su Yanran cried out in joy. Uncle Qin, my dad's heart is beating again. Qin. Tian nodded, did a few more compressions, then stopped and stood up. Your father already had an underlying heart condition. Just now, he got too worked up and couldn't catch his breath. He's stable now. Just help him to the sofa to rest. Su Yanran, seeing that her father's condition was completely back to normal, turned to look at me with grateful eyes. Uncle Qin, thank you. I didn't expect you to know how to do this. That was amazing! I smiled faintly, standing up and rolling my wrists and shoulders. Just a minor skill, nothing worth mentioning. At this moment, Murong Dai quietly approached and handed me a tissue. Boss, wipe your sweat. I took the tissue, wiped my forehead, and looked around in confusion. Where did that brat Lin Feng go? Just then, the system's voice chimed in again. Congratulations, host, for preempting the protagonist and saving a key character. Villain points, size 500. Conveniently plundered 500 luck points. Villain points have reached the threshold. System ability, draw unlocked. Would you like to use it now? Why save a draw when you have one? I immediately chose to draw. System draw successful. 2 options available. Choose one. 1. Master level piano skills, max level. 2. Master level dancing, rhythm perception, max level. These 2 skills this time, to be honest, were a bit useless. Singing and dancing were all trivial matters. I had absolutely no use for them. So, I casually picked the piano. It seemed a bit more classy, something I could use to show off later. Dad, wake up! About a minute later, after being carried to the sofa by several bodyguards, Su Zhengyang slowly opened his eyes. As soon as Su Zhengyang woke up, his head was still a bit groggy. What just happened to me? Dad, you suddenly passed out. Uncle Qin was the one who saved you, Su Yanran hurriedly explained. As his memories slowly pieced themselves back together, the look in Su Zhengyang's eyes, as he stared at me, grew increasingly astonished. Afterwards, Su Zhengyang was still taken to the hospital. Even though he had woken up, given his status, it was better to get a checkup just to be safe. His daughter, Su Yanran, naturally had to go with him. Before leaving, he specifically sought me out to quietly apologize. After all, they were the ones who begged for Lin Feng's release. Little did he know, I was already thrilled out of my mind. That little stunt just now not only earned me a massive amount of villain points and luck points, but Su Zhengyang also decided on the spot to concede a portion of the profits in our collaborative project as a gesture of goodwill. Don't underestimate this 10%. With the resources both families could mobilize, the net profit of this deal alone was over 5 billion at the very least. 10% was a cool 500 million. The only annoying thing was that brat Lin Feng had disappeared. I had originally planned to use the Su family to teach him a lesson, but the plan fell apart. I was quite displeased about it, but I also understood that dealing with this kind of child of destiny had to be done slowly. Meanwhile, Lin Feng had indeed made a run for it. As soon as he realized he had caused a huge disaster and witnessed my performance firsthand, that textbook perfect CPR, he knew things were going south. But after escaping, the more he thought about it, the more something felt off. The events of the past 2 days flashed through his mind, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Especially my behavior, which completely defied logic. Now that the path with the Su family was completely cut off, the Tang family probably wasn't doing much better either. I need to change my name and completely vanish from the Qin family's radar. That's the only way I'll have a chance to turn the tables. Just as this thought crossed Lin Feng's mind, he had a direction. As the kid pulled out his money, lost in thought, 2 blonde punks suddenly blocked his path. Each of them held a gleaming dagger, clearly up to no good. Perfect. You're digging your own graves. The next second, in the narrow alleyway, agonizing screams echoed out one after another. On the other side, inside the Rolls-Royce, Murong Dai stole a glance at her boss, who had his eyes closed. The tiny flutter of emotion in her heart, the more she tried to suppress it, the stronger it grew. Her eyes had truly been open. Other rich people spent their days counting money, playing golf, and socializing. But her boss actually knew first aid, and was so good at it too. What's more, earlier, when he was performing CPR on Su Zhengyang, that focused expression of his almost made her heart stop. Old Lee, put on some music. Let's relax a bit. My sudden voice startled Murong Dai, who quickly averted her gaze and pretended to look out the window. The music started playing, and I closed my eyes again. Right now, my mind was racing. From Su Zhengyang's reaction earlier, I could guess that Lin Feng had no relationship with him. The person he was actually connected to was the old man of the Su family, Su Guofu. In other words, as long as the old man was still protecting Lin Feng, the Su family wouldn't come looking for trouble with me over this. This kid is a bit tough to chew, I muttered. Lin Feng had now hidden in the shadows. Now, He was in the dark while I was out in the open. This situation wasn't good. Thinking of this, I opened my eyes and spoke up again. Old Lee, after we get back, arrange for a few people to thoroughly investigate Lin Feng's whereabouts. Remember, don't get too close and absolutely do not make a move. Report back immediately if there's any news. After saying that, I didn't forget to frown and remind him, what song are you listening to? Change it. I didn't know if it was because I had just received master-level piano skills that my ears had become so picky. Li Jun was startled when the boss told him to change the song, but there were only 2 or 3 songs saved in the car. Normally, the boss never listened to them anyway, so he had just played one at random. Seeing this, Murong Dai asked curiously, President Qin, do you want to listen to music? Not necessarily. I just suddenly felt it was too quiet on the road. Murong Dai immediately reacted. How about I use my phone to search for something and play it over Bluetooth? That way, you can listen to whatever you want, Qin. Tian's eyes lit up, suddenly thinking of something. All right. Then look up 1,000 Reasons to be Heartbroken. Otherwise, the whole ride will be boring and annoying. This was an old song that came out a long time ago, but he liked this kind of vibe. Murong Dai looked bewildered. This title sounded like it was pieced together. After searching for a long time and still not finding the song, she said, President Qin, I can't find it. You must have remembered the title wrong. Hearing this, he frowned slightly, vaguely, feeling that something wasn't right. Then look up Jackie Chung. Is Jackie Chung a singer? Although Murong Dai was confused, she did as she was told. Unfortunately, there was nothing. Qin Tian's expression darkened slightly. He took the pink phone that Murong Dai handed him. He started searching himself. Quickly, he typed in the names of the 4 heavenly kings from his past life. After entering all of them, he slowly leaned back in his chair. He let out a long sigh. This time, he finally understood completely. It turns out he'd been reborn into a parallel universe. Although the grand scheme of things was similar to his past life, many famous stars, actors, and the like didn't exist here. He waved his hand wearily. Forget it, I don't want to listen anymore, it's just depressing. The 4 heavenly kings in Jaicho don't even exist. So, what's the point of listening to anything? Those classic hits, the ones you'd listen to and hum along with that made your heart feel lighter. But the person even more furious than you was Old Man Su. As soon as he heard that his own son had been provoked by Lin Feng to the point of fainting on the spot, Old Man Su immediately had his driver take him straight to the hospital. The moment he walked in, he peppered him with questions about what happened. Without a moment's hesitation, did you really give Qin Tian that condition? From his hospital bed, Su Zhengyang spoke in a dejected tone. Everything was going smoothly. Qin Tian agreed without a second thought. But who would have thought? That kid, Lin Feng, would suddenly jump out and start yelling at Qin Tian's son right in front of him. Dad, tell me, as an elder, how could I just stand by and do nothing? And this is what happened. He let out a sharp breath, suppressing the rage in his chest. His fists clenched and then relaxed. He was afraid he'd lose his temper if he kept talking. After hearing this, Old Man Su's eyes lit up slightly. He seemed to have realized something. Hearing you say that, this Lin Feng really is a bit like his master when he was young. Hearing this, Su Zhengyang's eyes went wide, looking like they were about to pop out. Dad, have you been brainwashed or something? Is your memory starting to go? People with great ability often have somewhat eccentric personalities. It's perfectly normal. Old Man Su's voice was calm and steady. He continued to mutter to himself. He dares to stand up for a stranger, which proves he has a good heart. He dares to scold Qin Tian's son right to his face, which proves he has a strong backbone. Only a man like that is worthy of our Yanyan. Dad, snap out of it. Su Zhengyang came to his senses, a look of disbelief on his face. He felt that the person who should be in this hospital bed right now wasn't him, but this old man. If he knew what the old man was saying, he could probably only mutter one thing to himself. Let it go. After all, he's just a mortal. How can he fight against the whims of fate? The next morning, I arrived at the company. Sitting behind my desk, I leisurely twirled a pen. My thoughts were already a million miles away. I still don't know how I transmigrated into this world. The most important thing is that I have to spend all day figuring out how to stop the protagonist from stealing the spotlight. The days I should have been enjoying have all been wasted. Just thinking about it pisses me off. So I pulled out my phone and called Li Jun. Still no sign of Lin Feng. I remember very clearly now. Lin Feng's fortune value is around 3,200, while mine is just over 700. With a gap that big, I could be overtaken any day now. After hearing from Li Jun that there was no progress, I gave him 2 clear directions. Have your men immediately check the surveillance cameras at hotels and police stations. Also, parks, bars, KTVs, keep a close watch on those places. These are all the places protagonists love to hang out. In parks, they can easily run into a mysterious old man for a fateful encounter. In bars, and KTVs, it's either saving someone or getting into a fight. The plot always explodes in these places. I've seen enough stories to know this stuff by heart. Although Li Jun didn't understand why he had to watch these places, an order was an order. He just had to do it. After hanging up, I narrowed my eyes, planning my next move. According to my intel, Lin Feng has indeed left the Tang family, but that old man most likely gave him a sum of money. Otherwise, for a newcomer like him, where would he get the confidence to live so carefree? If the Tang family wants to play the good guy, then I don't need to be polite either. With that, I picked up my phone again and dialed a special number. Hang Deo, what can I do for you? A sweet female voice came from the other end of the line. I got straight to the point. I need someone with an unfamiliar face. Combat ability isn't important. What's important is that they know how to change their appearance. 1 million a month. That kind of money is nothing to me. I sealed the deal. The moment the 1 million was transferred into the account, its mysterious owner hadn't even had time to react. The fate of the Tang family was sealed. 6 p.m. at the Grand Villa on Li Shan. Young master, the items you requested have been delivered. Butler Feng bowed his head, his tone extremely respectful. 2 maids stood behind him, each pushing a small cart. The carts were laden with items. There were only 2 sets of acupuncture needles, but the rest were all small, labeled vials, and large, colorful jars. It was as if they had moved an entire pharmacy here. I replied, clear out an empty room downstairs. From now on, just put everything in there. After they were done, I stood alone in the middle of the empty living room, feeling a sense of melancholy. All my previous flings, I've already cut them all off. Now, if I want to find someone to date, I can only choose from the girls I know. After transmigrating, it's best to pick one with a strong destiny. A heroine can not only keep me company, but also help me become stronger. But right now, there are only 3 heroines I can contact. The nurse, Tang Shui, the police officer, Liu Ruoxi, and the cold CEO, Su Yanyan. These women, I've barely spoken a few words to them. Suddenly, hitting on them might just backfire. As for Murong Dai, this girl is most likely not the heroine type. Besides, she's been working overtime every day lately. Better not to bother her. I scrolled through my contacts for a while, but couldn't find anyone suitable, so I decisively changed into some casual clothes and went out for some fresh air. Meanwhile, in the surveillance room of the Lin Beek bar, a young man in a security guard uniform was sitting, with his legs crossed, staring intently at the screen. Every movement in the bar was within his sight, but when he saw a woman sitting in the corner, he suddenly shot to his feet. Su Yanyan, what is she doing here? Just then, another guard cheerfully walked up from behind and sat down next to him. He greeted him in a familiar tone. Brother Feng, what are you staring at so intensely? This man's name was Tong Hai, and he'd been working here for 5 or 6 years. Lin Feng casually replied, nothing much, just getting familiar with the environment. After a pause, he asked, Brother Hai, you've been around here a long time. Do you know the man drinking at table number 7? He pointed to the man on the surveillance monitor. He just tried to start something with me. Oh, you mean Zhou Kai? Tong Hai glanced at the screen. He's the leader of a bunch of local thugs. Did he piss you off? No, nothing like that. Lin Feng answered vaguely. To be honest, a protagonist's luck is truly something else. Even he himself never expected that the 2 troublemaking thugs he casually beat up on the street last night were actually Brother Bao's men. When Brother Bao heard someone had dared to touch his men, he went to the scene and made some harsh threats, challenging him to a one-on-one fight. As a result, an old injury of Brother Bao's acted up, and he was even limping a little. Lin Feng took one look and immediately saw the problem. With just a few moves, he healed the man. Brother Bao was stunned on the spot, as if he had met a divine being. He immediately arranged a position for him, captain of the security team. Of course, what Lin Feng was aiming for wasn't this minor position. He had heard news that the 3rd master of the Jin family was in poor health. If he could cure that big shot, he would have the capital to go head-to-head with me in the future. But the 3rd master of the Jin family wasn't in Quming recently, so Brother Bao had to temporarily arrange for him to stay at the Seashell Bar, making him the security captain just to tide things over. Just now, seeing Su Yanyan being harassed by Zhou Kai, Lin Feng, acting on instinct, felt that this matter wouldn't end so simply. That's why he decided to ask about it. But he was completely unaware that in a hidden corner of the bar, the man he wished he could flay alive was sitting right there. Seeing Su Yanyan sitting quietly in the distance, my eyes lit up. Why is she here? The original owner of this body once hit on a flight attendant in this very bar. Out of boredom, I wanted to come and see if there was anyone good-looking. A one-night stand wouldn't be so bad. Who would have thought I'd run into Su Yanyan, a stone-cold female CEO, sitting alone in a corner of a bar in the middle of the night? This story is all too familiar to me. When the female lead appears alone in a place like this, it won't be more than 10 minutes before a few thugs show up to cause trouble. Then, the male lead appears to save the damsel in distress, acting all cool to boost his favorability score. Now that Su Yanyan is sitting there alone, could Lin Feng be nearby? Thinking of this, the corners of my mouth curled up slightly, revealing a meaningful smile. And the outcome was exactly as I predicted. After waiting for 2.5 minutes, a few shady-looking men approached her. At the same time, I noticed the wine glass in Su Yanyan's hand was shaking violently. She had clearly had too much to drink. Seeing this, I knew my chance had come. Over at Su Yanyan's table, a big, dark-skinned man was grinning, staring at the woman in front of him. "Hey, beautiful, do us a favor, and have a drink with me and my boys. Get lost." Although Su Yanyan's head was heavy, her temper hadn't changed a bit. The big guy wasn't angry at all. In fact, he just laughed. "I like your style." With that, he winked at his buddy next to him. The blonde guy standing beside him immediately got the hint. He brought a cocktail over and placed it in front of Su Yanyan. "Listen up, beautiful. I'm Wang Wu, the boss of this area. Who around here doesn't know the great name of Wang Wu? I've got my eye on you. I'll give you 2 choices. 1, come with me. Or 2, drink this glass." Before Wang Wu could even finish, Su Yanyan picked up the glass, downed it in one go, and slammed it back on the table. She uttered a single word again. "Get lost." Her demeanor left even Wang Wu stunned. "Ha ha ha, I didn't expect you to be so straightforward." Wang Wu changed his tone, but I only got halfway through what I was saying earlier. What I actually wanted to say is, "Once you finish this glass, you're mine." With a lecherous grin, he leaned in closer. "Since you're being so straightforward, why don't you come with me right now? I promise I'll be gentle with you later." Saying that, his hand reached for Su Yanran's shoulder. Seeing this, Su Yanran snapped back to reality for a moment. Realizing she had run into a scumbag, she tried to stand up, but the alcohol had already taken over her body. Just as she managed to push herself up, her vision went dark, and she slumped heavily back into the chair, watching that hand get closer and closer. While her body refused to move, her heart turned cold. It's over. Just as that hand was less than 4 inches away from her, it suddenly froze. Immediately after, a cold, indifferent voice rang out. "Trash like you isn't worthy of touching her. Motherfucker, where the hell did you pop out from? You dare get in my way?" Cursing, Wang Wu swung his fist, ready to strike. But before he could even finish his sentence, his wrist was suddenly clamped down like it was caught in an iron vise. His entire body froze on the spot. It felt as if his meridians were being crushed. The piercing pain almost made him jump out of his skin. I stared coldly at Wang Wu, an enigmatic smile playing on my lips. "If you don't want your bloodline to end right here, you'd better get the hell out of my sight." With that, Wang Wu finally managed to yank his hand back. "You got lucky this time, the girl is yours for today. Don't let me catch you again." Without looking back, he turned and bolted. Su Yanran sat there in a daze for a moment before finally reacting. Her voice trembled. Uncle Kane, what is this girl doing here in the middle of the night? And getting this drunk, no less?" I looked at her, my tone carrying a hint of reproach and a bit of helplessness. The scene playing out right now, even Su Yanran herself found it absurd. Logically speaking, normally, she wasn't the type to lose control of herself. Who knows why she ended up like this today? Whatever she was thinking right now, I didn't care to find out. Because the system's voice had just chimed in my head again. "System, congratulations. System, you stepped in ahead of time to rescue Su Yanran. System, villain points 500. System, recovered 100 luck points. Received a skill? Not bad. At this rate, even if I have to face the protagonist head-on, I won't be so weak that I can't even touch his shadow. I then glanced at my luck points, which had increased to 800. I couldn't help but sigh in relief. Life is looking more and more hopeful. Beside me, Su Yanran lowered her head. She wanted to explain, but couldn't find the words. One look and I knew something was weighing on her mind. I didn't press her. I just waved my hand, signaling that I'd take her home. Hearing this, Su Yanran tried to stand up on her own, but she ended up collapsing back into the chair. Seeing this, I let out an amused sigh. Sigh, just let me help you. Growing up, Su Yanran had never truly been this close to a man, but considering I was her elder, it should be fine, right? Then thank you, Uncle Chin. No need to be polite. Let's go. With that, I didn't hold back. I draped Su Yanran's arm over my shoulder and wrapped my other arm around her slender waist. System. First, close contact interaction with the female lead, Su Yanran. System, villain points, plus 300. System, recovered 100 luck points. Hearing this sweet, melodious chime, the corners of my mouth curled up slightly. I was feeling extremely satisfied. Su Yanran's waist was perfectly slender, soft yet firm. It felt absolutely amazing. The two of us had just stepped out of the bar and hadn't even turned the corner when I furrowed my brows. I saw over 20 young thugs armed with steel pipes, baseball bats, and the like. They aggressively blocked our path ahead. Following me outside were Li Jun and two others in disguise. Seeing this scene, they quickly formed a protective circle around me. President Qin, hurry and leave, don't worry about us. Although they were highly skilled, the enemy had them severely outnumbered. And with weapons involved, a fight would put them at a huge disadvantage. We definitely had to run first. I looked down at the woman in my arms and decisively scooped Su Yanran up into a bridal carry. Even though my combat skills were maxed out, doing it myself would be way too undignified. Oh, you even brought bodyguards? Staring intensely at the trio's outfits, Li Jun let out a cold sneer. You guys play the part pretty well. Are you guys really looking for a bloodbath? Li Jun asked with a cold expression. Hey, hadn't seen such blind, reckless punks in a long time. Who the fuck is your brother? Wang Wu yelled, waving his hand. Boys, get him! Cripple the men, don't touch the woman! With that, the thugs roared and charged forward, swinging their weapons. Li Jun and his two men reacted with lightning speed. Clack! Their telescopic batons snapped open. One covered the rear, one provided support, while Li Jun personally cleared the path to cover my retreat. Seeing me carrying someone and about to break through, Wang Wu immediately grew anxious. Send a few guys to deal with the bastard holding the chick. Don't let him get away. A few thugs who were surrounding the two bodyguards immediately broke off. 5 of them turned and lunged straight at me. Li Jun's heart skipped a beat. Thump. These pieces of trash actually knew to target the VIP. He suddenly dashed forward, knocking back an opponent, intending to turn around and save me. But just as he threw a kick from the side, 2 more thugs rushed in to fill the gap. Left with no choice, he could only strain his neck and scream, "Watch out!" Unexpectedly. In the very next second, a loud thud rang out. One of the thugs swinging a steel pipe was sent flying backward. What the fuck? Before anyone could even process what happened, another explosive bang echoed. Another thug who had charged forward was also sent flying sideways. The form was so perfect, it looked like a scene straight out of an action movie. The entire scene instantly fell dead silent. Taking advantage of the pause, Li Jun glanced back. His mind went completely blank. He saw his supposedly frail and weak President Qin currently holding a beauty in both arms while slowly retracting one of his legs. It was obvious that President Qin was the one who had just kicked those 2 guys away. Being blocked by these scumbags, I was already fuming with anger. Su Yanran had fallen into a deep stupor, her entire body limp as she leaned against my chest. Moving around like this was incredibly exhausting. You punks have really done it now. Aren't you just forcing me to get ruthless? At this moment, I spotted an old flame standing in the distance. Beside her was the silhouette of Tang Shui, and a few other girls. Seeing this, I raised my head and shouted, Q Xiaoman, stop looking around and get over here. Give me a hand and watch over her, Q Xiao. Xiaoman had been sulking lately because I blocked her number. But for someone who had given her a $1 million breakup fee, like me, she was still obedient enough to listen. So, she hurriedly pulled Tang Sui along and ran over. Sorry about this. Just lie here for a bit. Without waiting for them to reach us, I quickly and gently laid Su Yanran down on the ground. I rolled my shoulders, loosened up my limbs, and then charged straight into the crowd. Immediately after, agonizing screams began to ring out. Qiu, Xiaoman, and Tang Shui had just helped Su Yanran up when they instantly froze. So badass. He's seriously too cool. Shock, admiration? Their hearts raced wildly, a chaotic jumble of emotions swirling inside them. What girl wouldn't like a man who could not only make money, but also protect her? At this moment, I was the absolute epitome of that ideal. Left hand blocking, knee strike, elbow smash, spinning kick. The entire sequence of movements flowed so smoothly, as if I had practiced it 100 times before, without a single moment of hesitation. It was already past 11 p.m., right when the bar was packed with people. Seeing this epic spectacle unfold, everyone rushed outside to watch with great excitement. Only Lin Feng stood in the corner, his expression shifting constantly. What the hell is going on? Since when could Qintian fight this well? A dignified billionaire who not only knows medicine, but also knows how to fight like his life depends on it. Why does this sound like another version of myself? Brother Feng, are we gonna make a move or not? Dong Hai stomped his foot anxiously. It's total chaos out there if we don't step in, and Brother Bill blames us later. Who's going to take the fall for this? Lin Feng slowly let out a breath. Fine, you guys go handle it. I'm staying here. Hearing Lin Feng agree, Dong Hai immediately called a few of his brothers and rushed outside. The brawl outside the bar was already coming to an end. Watching his underlings get taken down one by one, Wang Wu didn't say a word, turning around to slip away. Trying to leave? My eyes turned icy. I casually picked up a small stone from the ground and hurled it straight at him. The stone seemed to have eyes of its own. It flew straight into Wang Wu's ankle. Wang Wu slipped, his entire body crashing face first into the dirt. Old Lai, drag him back here for me. My voice wasn't loud, but it radiated a chilling aura. Hearing the order, Old Li grabbed Wang Wu by the collar with one hand and dragged him roughly right in front of me. I raised my foot and kicked him in the back of the knee. Wang Wu, already dizzy from being hit by the stone, was forced to his knees instantly by the kick. Motherfucker, you dare touch me! I'm Master Hugh's man. Hearing that, I planted a kick squarely in his face. Who the hell is Master Hu? I sneered. Go tell your master house to find out exactly who I am. He has 3 days to come to my door and apologize in person. Otherwise, your entire gang will cease to exist. Of course, if you can't even figure out who I am, then it's even easier to handle. You won't even have the right to exist. Did you understand every single word I just said? My words were ground out through gritted teeth. Understood. I understand, Wang Wu replied, his mouth full of blood. Inwardly, he was grinding his teeth in hatred. Make Master Hu apologize to you? Who the hell do you think you are? But being at a disadvantage, he had no choice but to bow his head. He could only swallow his pride for now and settle the score later. But how could I let him off that easily? To deliver a message, you only need a mouth. Old Lai! Cripple his limbs. Oh, what? Wang Wu suddenly snapped his head up. His eyes widened so much they looked like they were about to pop out. Dealing with this kind of street trash, Old Li didn't hesitate for a second. With a sickening crack, Wang Wu's agonizing scream, like a pig being slaughtered, echoed across the entire street. Just as we finished dealing with him, the bar's security guards finally came rushing out in a panic. I didn't even bother paying attention to those useless fools. I turned to look at Li Jun and the other two. How are you guys? Are you all right? We're fine, the two bodyguards replied, suppressing their pain. Their clothes were covered in dirt and dust, and stained with blood. You took 2 knife wounds, and you're telling me you're fine? Then, I turned my head and said, Old Li, give them 100,000 each, go to the hospital and get treated properly. If it's not enough, come find me. Hearing this, Li Jun was a bit surprised. Why did it feel like the boss had turned into a completely different person? In the past, if something like this happened, wouldn't he have immediately cursed them out for being useless? Since when did he start caring about his subordinates like this? But he didn't dwell on it too much. Regardless, he liked the current boss much better. I didn't pay attention to their thoughts. I continued speaking to Li Jun. You take them to the hospital. I'll take Miss Su home first. Li Jun was about to say, Boss, you can't go without protection. But when he saw the thugs groaning on the ground, he swallowed the words right back down. So, he decisively turned around and headed to the parking lot to get the car and take the 2 bodyguards to the hospital. Meanwhile, I quickly walked over to Su Yanran. Her forehead was burning hot. As soon as Qiu Xiaoman saw me, she hurriedly said. I frowned slightly, then reached out to feel her forehead. She really was running a high fever. At this moment, Tang Sui blushed and said, I checked her pulse. It seems like she's been drugged with an aphrodisiac. Wang Yu's glass of wine was clearly spiked. Seeing this, I sneered inwardly. If I hadn't shown up tonight, Lin Feng probably would have hit the jackpot. The classic hero saves the beauty trope. A coincidental encounter. This cliché drugging plot was set up way too obviously. I didn't want to think about this nonsense anymore. I drove the car, taking Su Yanran toward the hospital. In the Maybach, Su Yanran was completely delirious. So hot, it's so hot. The heat was unbearable, and her clothes naturally started slipping off. While keeping my eyes focused on the road ahead, I glanced over at the passenger seat. To be completely honest, the sight before me, for any normal man, would be like a bomb going off in his head. If it were anyone else, they would have lost control a long time ago. For me, this was also an opportunity served right on a silver platter, but the system had made it clear from the start. Normal women were mine to do with as I pleased. But these female leads were different. Their fates were tied to the male protagonist. I couldn't afford to have any dirty thoughts. If I wanted to touch them, two conditions had to be met. First, the other party had to be completely sober. Second, there could be no coercion. Otherwise, I'd be in massive trouble. Right now, Su Yanran had drunk the spiked wine. She was at her most vulnerable. But what happens after? I'm not the protagonist. I don't have that magical plot armor that makes girls fall madly in love with me. What if Su Yanran wakes up tomorrow, realizes she's been taken advantage of, and then, influenced by the protagonist's aura, turns around and bites me back, suing me for assault? Wouldn't I be permanently cemented as the villainous cannon fodder? Cannon fodder, the kind that gets trampled by the protagonist and can never make a comeback? Thinking of this, I sighed. My tone carried a hint of regret. Although it's a damn shame, I guess I'll have to play the good guy for once today. As soon as the words left my mouth, I slammed on the gas and sped straight toward my villa. If you're drugged, you have to do it or you'll die. Total bullshit. In reality, there's no such demonic nonsense. This kind of drug definitely makes a person uncomfortable, but as long as you endure it, the effects will wear off on their own after a few hours. At worst, you just suffer a bit. Very quickly, we arrived at the villa. I carried the limp Su Yanran out of the car. She clung to me tightly, refusing to let go. Her mouth kept rubbing against my face, and she kept biting at my neck. I couldn't escape even if I tried. I had no choice but to grit my teeth and carry her into the bathroom. I turned the cold water on full blast and tossed her straight into the bathtub. As the freezing water poured over her head, Su Yanran's entire body shivered. Her mind finally regained a fraction of clarity. Right now, her memories were incredibly fragmented. She only vaguely remembered running into some thugs, almost getting into trouble, and Uncle Chin saving her. Suddenly, a flash of imagery crossed her mind, and Su Yanran jolted awake. She frantically looked around. The room was large and bright, decorated in a European style. The ceiling was adorned with gold leaf and painted frescoes. One look and you could tell it wasn't cheap, but she had never seen this place before. She looked down at herself. She was wearing a thick bathrobe, wrapped tightly without exposing anything. Except this wasn't her house. Her heart tightened. She hurriedly pulled the bathrobe open to check. The next second, her entire body froze. Her underwear was gone, her body went limp, and she slumped to the floor. But immediately after, she felt something was off. Even though her head was spinning, her body didn't feel strange at all. There was no pain whatsoever. It wasn't like what the experts on the internet described about the aftermath. Suspicion began to rise in her heart. She quickly tied the bathrobe's belt and rushed outside. The entire villa was brightly lit, but there wasn't a single soul in sight. It wasn't until she went downstairs that a familiar figure finally appeared. I was wearing a bathrobe, sitting cross-legged on the sofa, playing with my phone. Uncle Chin? Hearing the noise, I looked up. You're awake? Su Yanran's heart skipped a beat. Why am I here? Do you remember what happened earlier? I put my phone down and pointed to the sofa next to me. Su Yanran obediently followed my gesture. After sitting down, she nodded slightly, then shook her head. She still had some impression of the first half of the night. But afterward, my mind felt like it was covered in a fog. I couldn't figure it out no matter how hard I tried. It feels like I held someone tightly, Kintian. The moment that thought flashed through her mind, her face turned bright red. Could it be that Uncle Chin and I really did something? At this thought, Su Yuran quickly shook her head. She didn't dare to think any further. He could see the turmoil in her heart with just a glance. There are some things you don't remember clearly, right? Don't worry, let me tell you what happened. A guy named Wang Yu gave you a drink. Do you remember? Su Yuran nodded. So he continued. He put something in your drink. I was originally going to take you home, but the drug took effect too quickly. There was no way you would have made it. If your family or your doctor found out about this, it wouldn't look good if word got out. So, I had no choice but to bring you to my house. Hearing him say that, Su Yuran tried hard to remember. It seems like that's what happened. Then what about my clothes? To suppress the drug's effects, I had you soak in cold water. Your clothes were completely soaked. Then, he calmly continued to pour tea. But I was afraid you'd catch a cold, so I had the housekeeper dry your hair and body, and change you into a robe. My clothes, you had the housekeeper help me change? Su Yuran suddenly asked. At this, he shrugged. Did you think I undressed you myself? Hearing this, Su Yuran actually felt a little embarrassed, because she vaguely remembered that she seemed to have hugged and kissed Qin Tian. At this moment, she didn't even dare to look him in the eye. He easily noticed her embarrassment. He waved his hand casually. It's late now. If you don't mind, Uncle Chin, could I stay here for the night? After confirming that nothing serious had happened to her, Su Yuran finally breathed a sigh of relief. She spoke much more comfortably. I don't mind at all. It just depends on whether you're afraid of what people might say. He glanced at her nonchalantly, and discovered he could see her status. Moreover, her favorability had reached 62. According to the system's introduction, as long as these heroines develop a favorable impression of him, the villain, he can view their detailed information. When an ordinary person's trust level reaches 90, they will completely submit to him. And once a heroine's favorability exceeds 90, he can ignore the protagonist's luck. The Lishan villa has plenty of rooms. He casually picked a room for her and added a word of advice. Your clothes have been washed and dried. The housekeeper will bring them over. And his thoughtful arrangements made Su Yuran unable to stop her mind from wandering. She slowly walked to the bed and looked down at it. She found that the blanket and sheets were all new. They had clearly just been changed. He even thought of this. This was the first time she had ever felt the thoughtfulness of a mature man. This Uncle Chin isn't just handsome, he's also incredibly considerate. He was practically born to attract women. As she was lost in thought, that image suddenly reappeared in her mind. His chiseled face, strong physique, his powerful arms, and that reassuring masculine scent. It all kept replaying in her mind. Could this be what it feels like to like someone? Su Yuran shook her head hard. How could I like him? No way! I'm only 4 years older than his son, but he's so handsome and gentle and reliable. I'd feel so safe with him. But he's from my father's generation. I can't think like this. That's it. The angel and devil on her shoulders began to fight. After arguing for a while, sleepiness took over. It was unclear if it was the lingering effects of the alcohol or the profound impression he had left on her that night. The next morning, she woke up. Her bathrobe felt a little damp. She quickly grabbed it and ran into the bathroom. Early in the morning, I saw the bathrobe hanging outside. With a puzzled look, there are clearly housekeepers in the house. What on earth is this girl doing? And she even gave me 200 villain points first thing in the morning. What did she do? Unable to figure it out, I shook my head and left. Meanwhile, in a private room at the Blue Shell Bar, Brother Hong had just finished a game of billiards. He stared intently at the screen, slapping himself when he realized the person on the screen was the young miss of the Su family. He wished he could stuff the underling who caused the trouble back into his mother's womb. This time, he had offended both the Qin and Su families at once. The bald man was so worried, he kept rubbing his gold chain. I'll have to go and apologize in person. As for the young miss, after returning to the Su residence, she was re-watching the video of the hero saving the damsel in distress. Seeing his strained expression as he protected her, she suddenly smiled, revealing her dimples. So this is what a domineering CEO looks like when he's fighting, and her finger unconsciously traced his cheek on the screen. Startled, she realized what she was doing. Embarrassed, she tossed the tablet onto the sofa. Su Yuran, are you crazy? But her blushing ears had already betrayed her feelings. Mr. Qin, the police station wants to see you. In the top-floor office of the Qin Corporation building, he had just arranged for Lin Feng to be monitored. He frowned slightly. Let lawyer Deng handle it. He idly spun a fountain pen. This trivial matter didn't require his personal attention at all. The power of capital was on full display at this moment. It was the same fight. The protagonist had to go to jail while the villain could remain scot-free. This was the ironic reality. After hanging up the phone, he gazed thoughtfully at the city model. To crush that cockroach, blessed by fortune, he had to attack from multiple angles. He had to seize his opportunities, conquer the heroines, and strengthen his own power. What exactly is the limit of coercion? The fountain pen in his hand spun rapidly on his fingertips, creating an afterimage. As long as you don't use physical force, business tactics can be used freely. The mechanical voice gave a vague answer. Just as he was plotting, a chat notification suddenly chimed. An avatar named Deng Yuting was blinking. Mr. Qin, may I treat you to a cup of coffee? This was the woman who was with Tang Shui and the others last night. Seeing this, he took notice. Although she's not a heroine, she's not bad as a wife. 2 o'clock celebrity coffee. His brief reply sent the front desk of the sales department on the other end into an uproar. Deng Yuting was so excited her fingers were trembling. She hurriedly booked a table at the most expensive coffee shop in the city. Just as she was fantasizing about a life of luxury, a piercing ringtone shattered her beautiful dream. The caller ID showed the name Wang Hao. Her expression changed instantly. "Will you just stop it?" she screamed into the phone, a complete contrast to her sweet, coquettish tone from just a moment ago. A weak, pleading voice came from the other end. "Yuting, my mom was hospitalized a few days ago. We need to pay 30,000 yuan for her surgery. I've borrowed from everyone I could and only got 10,000. Do you think you could lend me the other 20,000?
What? 20,000? Do you think I'm a bank? Before he could even finish, Deng Yuting exploded. She suddenly noticed her colleagues nearby. Blushing, she turned and walked to the end of the hallway. Wang Hao, are you brain dead? We've been together for a year. How much money have you even spent on me? When we go out to eat, do you ever offer to pay? When we go to the movies, have you ever bought the tickets? And now this. You open your mouth and ask for 20,000. I'm sorry, Yuting. I really had no other choice but to ask you. After all, we're still together. Can't you do it for my sake? The voice on the other end grew quieter, as if all the air had been sucked out of him. Hearing this, Deng Yuting let out a cold laugh. Holding hands a few times is what you call being together? Ah, Yuting, what do you mean by that? Wang Hao was stunned, his tone changing. What do I mean? Don't you know perfectly well?
We're done, you hear me? On the other end, Wang Hao was completely speechless. Yuting, is money more important than me? Are you breaking up with me just because you don't want to lend me money? Yes, money is very important. And it's precisely because I don't want to lend you money that I've decided to break up with you. The more she spoke, the angrier she got. This money is what I earned by working my ass off selling houses. It's my blood, sweat, and tears. You think you can just ask to borrow it? You make a little over 1,000 yuan a month writing web novels. How are you going to pay me back? But my mom really can't hold on any longer. I don't care about your butts. Deng Yuting took a deep breath. Her voice lowered. Wang Hao, we don't have a future. I don't want to spend the rest of my life crammed onto the subway every day, eating canned food, and living in a rundown apartment without even a balcony. That's not the life I want. The other end was silent for a long time. Then Wang Hao slowly spoke. Yuting, are you really determined to break up? Deng Yuting had actually wanted to break up for a long time. She was just afraid of hurting his pride, so she planned to be cold to him until he brought it up himself. But this guy just buried his head in his keyboard every day, living in his fictional world, completely oblivious to her growing distance. Deng Yuting closed her eyes and uttered the 2 words, "Let's break up." Then she hung up and let out a long sigh of relief. The corners of her mouth curled up involuntarily. That's right, I have to meet Mr. Qin at the coffee shop this afternoon. At this thought, her mood instantly brightened. Meanwhile, at the entrance of the city's central hospital, a young man sat slumped on the steps of the inpatient building. He clutched his phone tightly. Only one thought remained in his mind. It's over. His mother was sick and needed money. He had asked all his relatives. Besides one close brother who gave him 10,000 yuan, everyone else pretended to be dead. He couldn't count on his relatives. He had accepted that long ago. But he never expected his girlfriend to be so heartless. You clearly have the money, but you won't save my mother. Why? He growled under his breath. His voice trembled. Deng Yuting, you just wait. The day I make it big, you will definitely regret what you did today. Just then, his head suddenly felt heavy. Before he could even react, his vision went black and he collapsed. An unknown amount of time passed. Wang Hao slowly opened his eyes. He found himself lying in a hospital bed. He was a little dazed. As he turned his head, he suddenly felt something new in his mind. It was like a huge bookshelf had appeared in his brain. The shelves were crammed, full of novels. What is this? Wang Hao was bewildered. He casually pulled the first book from the shelf and turned to the first page. This is a world where Duqi reigns supreme. There is no magic, only Duqi cultivated to its peak. Just this one sentence, he immediately looked down. The river has its bends, a man has his ups and downs. Never look down on a poor young man. The setting was novel, and the plot was captivating. The more he read, the more engrossed he became, the more excited he got. This is what a novel should be like. Moreover, the protagonist's experience is a bit like mine. Meanwhile, his sworn brother, Chen Shikai, had scraped together 10,000 yuan for him and was on his way over with the cash. As he passed by the Mingxi Cafe, he suddenly caught sight of Deng Yuting's back. What's she doing here? Chen Mo froze, his mind buzzing. He immediately pulled out his phone and called Wang Hao. Wang Hao, I just saw Deng Yuting go into the Mingxi Cafe. A single cup of coffee there cost several hundred yuan. Deng Yuting's salary is nothing special. Where would she get that kind of spare cash? Wang Hao thought for a moment. He immediately understood what was going on. But then he remembered they had just broken up. Fatty Chen was stunned to hear they'd broken up. Then he said slowly, How? Breaking up is a big deal. You should at least meet face to face to make things clear. Breaking up over the phone? What kind of crap is that? Besides, from the looks of it, I'd bet she was already seeing someone else before she even broke up with you. Are you really just going to swallow this? What else am I supposed to do? Wang Hao's voice suddenly rose. Of course, he wasn't taking it well. After all, Deng Yuting was someone he once loved. If he could really just let her go that easily, he wouldn't be spending every day fantasizing about getting rich and making her regret it. Look, if she's really with some other guy, then you don't need to be the bigger person. Go confront her if you have to. Even if it gets ugly, you need to get to the bottom of this. Wang Hao hesitated. Running over there to confront her felt demeaning, like he was losing face. But when he thought about how she dumped him so decisively, he gritted his teeth. Grinned, you just wait, I'm on my way right now. Meanwhile, at the Mingxi Cafe, he arrived at the door with Li Jun and 4 bodyguards. Deng Yuting saw him immediately and raised her hand. CEO Qin, over here, you look very handsome today. As soon as he sat down, she said with a smile. Deng Yuting was beaming, unable to hide her joy. She was thrilled. All the effort she put into her makeup hadn't gone to waste. You certainly know how to flatter someone. Thank you, CEO Qin. He paid it no mind and got straight to the point. I don't like beating around the bush. Just say what's on your mind. We only met for the first time yesterday. We're not acquaintances by any stretch, and you certainly don't count as a friend. In this situation, you asked to meet me for one of 2 reasons, either for business or to get closer to me. Given your current situation, you're definitely not here to talk business. So the answer is obviously the latter. Deng Yuting was hit right where it hurt. Her face flushed red as she stammered, unable to form a complete sentence. Whatever you want to say, just say it. I came here expecting as much. Seeing this, Deng Yuting finally mustered up the courage to state her purpose. CEO Qin, could you give me a chance? She was afraid that if she didn't speak up now, the opportunity would slip through her fingers. Hearing this, he smirked, daring to admit, what you want. You're better than most of the koi gold diggers out there. You want to be with me? Not a problem. But I have 3 rules. If you can agree to them, we can leave right now. First, from now on, you are not allowed to be intimate with any other man. I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. Even so-called soulmates or best guy friends are off limits. Second, I will not marry you, nor will you be the only one. Third, from now on, only I can contact you. You are not to contact me on your own. My meaning is very simple. That's it. He laid it all out, spilling all his thoughts at once. Of course, if you agree to walk this path with me for a while, I won't let you get the short end of the stick. I won't be stingy with money.
You can choose whatever you want to eat, wear, and buy. Even if we break up later, I'll give you a sum of money. Enough to live comfortably for a long time. If you don't believe me, you can go ask your friend, Q Xiaoman. Ask Xiaoman. You were with her too. Deng Yuting was stunned for a moment, but then she realized it was only natural. After all, who would go around advertising something like that? You have 2 minutes to think about it. After 2 minutes, I want a definite answer from you. Will you look down on me? Deng Yuting bit her lip, not answering directly. In her heart, she knew how she must look right now, cheap and shameless in the eyes of others. But his answer surprised her. No, people live to make themselves comfortable. There's nothing wrong with that. The gossip from outsiders is nothing more than the whining of those who don't know their own place. You're different, you're beautiful, and have a great figure. You have the assets to choose a better life. Why would I look down on you? Deng Yuting almost thought she'd misheard. It was the first time someone had spoken about being someone's mistress so casually, as if it wasn't cheap or shameful at all. Do you think I need to sweet-talk you to get what I want? He glanced at her, his tone slightly mocking. Flattering women is a game for idle men. I, Qintian, have never engaged in such pointless activities. About 20 minutes later, he stood up, paid the bill, and prepared to leave. As soon as they were out the door, Deng Yuting quietly took his arm, because she truly couldn't think of a single reason to refuse. Tio Keen, where are we going next? Hearing this, he smirked. First, we're going clothes shopping. The outfit you're wearing is nice, but if you want to stand by my side, nice isn't enough. As he said this, Deng Yuting's heart skipped a beat. So this is what it feels like to be with a tycoon. He just says the word and swipes his card. No wonder so many girls would rather be a mistress than spend their lives with a poor guy. She remembered how Wang Hao would treat her to a bowl of hot and sour noodles, and he'd have to pick a street stall that cost less than 10 yuan. A pang of bitterness shot through Deng Yuting's heart. Just then, a sudden shout pulled her back to reality. Immediately after, 2 figures rushed out from around the corner. Before they could even get close, they were blocked by the 2 bodyguards in black at his side. Deng Yuting looked closer. Wang Hao, what are you doing here? You're asking me what I'm doing here? Deng Yuting, I really misjudged you. Wang Hao glared fiercely at him. His words were sharp and biting. Beside him, Fatty Chen stared at the luxury car he had just stepped out of, his eyes wide with shock. You just broke up with me this morning, and this afternoon you're already with someone else. You're a real innocent girl, aren't you? Deng Yuting was so angry she wanted to argue back, but she suppressed her emotions. She wanted to explain the situation to him first. But before she could speak, he raised a hand to stop her. You have 5 minutes. After saying that, he didn't spare them another glance. Escorted by his bodyguards, he got into the luxury car. Wang Hao and Fatty Chen were completely taken aback by his reaction. They had come here to vent their anger, wanting to expose Deng Yuting right in front of him, to humiliate her. But in the end, he didn't even bother to respond. He didn't even bat an eye. Wang Hao, shouldn't you be taking care of your mother? What are you doing running over here meddling in things? Seeing that he was already in the car, Deng Yuting seized the opportunity to speak. The moment Wang Hao heard this, his anger flared. Deng Yuting, if you started seeing someone else after we broke up, I'd have nothing to say. But what is this? We haven't even officially broken up, and you're already hooking up with a new guy. You think that's something to be proud of, don't you? You weren't like this before. A hint of disappointment crept into Wang Hao's voice. His tone softened slightly. You know how it is. Those rich guys are never short on women. He might be treating you well now, but who knows? One day he'll get tired of you and kick you to the curb. What are you so proud of? Even if I do get kicked to the curb, it's still better than wasting my time with you. Deng Yuting finally couldn't hold it in any longer. She cut Wang Hao off bluntly. Can you stop kidding yourself? Seo Qin is handsome and rich. What's wrong with being with him? Even if he doesn't want me anymore later on, I'm doing this willingly. It's better than spending my whole life with you, where I can't even get a decent meal. Fine, I'll transfer it to you right now. After saying that, he pulled out his phone. With a swipe of his finger, 20,000 yuan was instantly transferred to Wang Hao's account. Then, he showed the successful transfer screen to Wang Hao. This is a breakup fee. It's from me to you. He enunciated every word clearly, pointing from himself to Wang Hao. He was paying Wang Hao to get dumped. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. That's it. After saying that, she didn't look back. She walked straight towards his supercar. But just then, the system in his head suddenly dinged. System, successfully stole the protagonist's ex-girlfriend. System, the direction of the plot has begun to change. System, received 300 villain points. System, villain points have met the standard to upgrade a skill. System, upgrade now, not right now. He had originally only wanted to take Deng Yuting to solve his troubles with Tang Shui. He never expected to stumble upon another prize so easily. That Wang Hao was clearly Deng Yuting's ex-boyfriend.
I could tell that much at a glance. But the system said he had stolen the protagonist's ex-girlfriend. That means Wang Hao is the protagonist of this story. So right now, I'm just a rich second generation who gets trampled by the protagonist. System, scan the script for me. Seeing Deng Yuting walking towards him, I quickly locked onto Wang Hao with the corner of my eye. System, scan complete. System, name, Wang Hao, fortune, 72. The target's luck is currently on the rise. System, current value cannot be accurately measured. I saw that 72 fortune points, and almost thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. But when the small text below appeared, I immediately understood. This guy most likely just bonded with the protagonist's system.
His destiny hasn't fully awakened yet, so he hasn't started his counterattack to turn the tables. The key thing is, this world has more than one protagonist. I let out a soft touch in my mind. Although I didn't get many villain points this time, at least I got a new lead. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, Seo-kin. I glanced at Wang Hao, who was still standing there stunned, but I couldn't be bothered with him anymore. I directly told Li Jun to drive away. Was that guy standing there your boyfriend? Oh, Seo-kin, we just had a few meals together before. Watched a movie. Maybe held hands at most. That's it, Deng Yuting explained profusely. He chuckled softly. Don't panic. I was just asking. Even if there really was something between you two, I wouldn't mind. Let's go pick out some clothes first. Deng Yuting nodded hastily. A male lead who rose from poverty like Wang Hao is much easier to deal with than the dark, all-powerful type. So you're nowhere near Xiaoman's level. Have you talked to Qin Song yet? While he had his eyes closed to rest, Deng Yuting secretly sent a text to her best friend. How did you know about this? Qiu Xiaoman was startled. Don't worry about how I know. I just want to know how much breakup money you got. Fine, but you absolutely cannot tell anyone. If you dare blab about this, we're done being friends. I swear I won't tell a third soul. 1 million. Besides giving me a bunch of stuff when we broke up, he also threw 1 million at me. Seeing the number 1,000, Deng Yuting was stunned. She never expected the rich to be so incredibly generous. With her current salary, she'd have to work for almost 15 years without eating or drinking. Seeing this number, she felt completely reassured. After chatting a bit more with Qiu Xiaoman, she quickly put her phone away. After all, she had to serve her sugar daddy well first. By the way, how do you know Tang Sui? From the back seat, he suddenly spoke up. Deng Yuting hurriedly replied, her colleague and I are from the same hometown. We hung out a few times, so we got to know each other. So what do you do now? And what's your relationship with Qiu Xiaoman? I'm a street vendor in the city, just running a small business. As for Xiaoman, we were college classmates. We've always been really close. Deng Yuting answered very frankly. He gave a slight nod. He didn't ask anything else, because logically speaking, when the protagonist rises to power, the ex-girlfriend inevitably becomes a stepping stone. This also meant that this pawn, Deng Yuting, wouldn't just be useful against Lin Feng, but could also conveniently drag male lead number 2 down into the abyss with him.